Hey, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. This is the Jock and Nerd Podcast, episode 80. This is your Jock and Nerd Weekly edition for Friday, February 19th, 2016. It's the new Friday nights, people.
It's the Jock and Nerd Podcast with your hosts, Anthony and Imran.
Jock and Nerd. Hiyo, everyone. Welcome to the show. My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
The Jock.
He's a nerd.
We're your co-hosts for the Jock and Nerd Podcast. And Anthony, I was thinking about this. This is kind of like ESPN for geeks, this Jock and Nerd Weekly live on Blab a little bit. You following me?
No, not at all. But go on, keep going.
We break down the plays, the scenes. We talk about the decisions these players make. We're like the play-by-play guys. Right now, any great play-by-play guys got to have a great color commentary guy. And that's where the Rugboy comes in. What's up, Rugs?
Good evening. Good afternoon.
Actually, I wouldn't go with that. I wouldn't go with that analogy at all.
No.
Okay, so here. No. I would go with, if you're gonna do that, Imran, you're play-by-play because you love to narrate.
Yeah.
I'm more the color commentary, and then like Monday Night Football had like Dennis Miller on for a little bit.
Celebrity.
You got to do the 3-man booth. That's where Rugboy comes in.
I'm the comic relief.
Yeah.
The celebrity jag-off B-lister who's trying to stay relevant.
Dude, that was right on the money because Dennis Leary didn't know what the fuck he was talking about, and and everything he was talking about was irrelevant to what they were watching.
Dennis
They
Miller,
were watching football, and he's talking about like presidential fucking shit and fucking references to like 1950s shit.
Shaking his head. No, Jordan of the Pies is right in the chat. I'm play-by-play. Your color commentary. Rugboy is the Rugboy. But right. I was trying to tie in the little jock sport nerd thing. I think that went.
No, not then. That works. I just didn't think he was color commentary. That was all.
Right. I couldn't think of the third guy, and that's why
it's a 3-man booth.
The 3-man booth. That sounds hot. Now,
one of us is the Lucky Pierre. I don't know what that
It gets pretty steamy in here.
Cleveland Steamroller. Look, if you're a regular listener of the show, you know what this is up. You know what's up with this. You know what's going to go down. You know we're going to talk about this week's latest episodes of our favorite shows, being Agent Carter, Flash, Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, and we are adding in The Walking Dead, people.
Geek boner.
Huzzah.
I just want to say we normally go in order of when they appeared during the week, but I think Imran made a good call in that Walking Dead was probably the best. So we're going to save it for last. But we always do the news first, and Imran preps the news.
Yeah, and before that, we got news. But before that, we have, this show, listener engagement has been off the chisane, as the kids say. Do they? I don't know.
Yeah.
We have multiple listener emails. We have a new iTunes review, and we have an amazing voicemail from listener Jesse Lyons, who is here in the Blab with us right now.
Which one is Jesse?
He's the little red fire logo
nice.
here. The man, he's a real hero. He is a firefighter, a volunteer firefighter.
Nice.
And I can't wait to play this for you guys. I'm just going to play it. It's I love this.
Hey, Jock and Nerd. This is Jesse, and I just started listening to your guys' podcast. I'm on episode 30 right now, and I just want to say, I love you guys. You guys give a great, heartfelt, I guess, layman's, the average guy's opinion on superhero stuff, and I'm a big time superhero nerd. I'm a volunteer firefighter, so I guess you could say I'm kind of a jock with an inner nerd, and you guys bring out my inner nerd every day. And keep up the great work. I love it. I'm gonna power through to get up to your normal your current episodes, and I just see the show evolving from episode 1 to where I'm at today, and it just keeps getting better every episode. I can't stop listening to you guys, so keep up the great work.
Dude, Jesse, I can't thank you enough for that awesome voicemail.
Awesome.
You are a real superhero, my friend. We're just fucking talking shit up here. The man's saving people out of buildings.
We're all assholes right now on a Friday night talking about things that don't matter.
Exactly.
I have a boner right now.
Oh my God, he's got one of these. Listen, Jesse Lyons is a 100% Rugboy approved listener. Thanks for powering through. That was awesome. Thank you so much. If you guys want to leave us a speak pipe, just go to our website, jockandnerd.com. There's a big red tab on the left side. You click it. You can record 90 seconds, and we'll play it on the show. I sent him a speak pipe back, and I'm glad I'm glad.
Can I jump in here 1 second? Yeah. When you sent me Jesse's message, I played it for everybody that I knew. I said, "Listen to this shit, asshole,
dude." So
I played it a couple times as well, just for my own pleasure, because it was actually really nice.
I played it for someone else also. I was like, look, I have to play this for someone. You have to hear this. This is so good.
It was a gleaming review.
It was an awesome review. Like I said, jockandnerd.com. Send us a message. We'll send you a message back. You get to be on the show. Now, we have some more listener engagement, as in people are starting to send us, emails and weird things through the Twitter. Listener at David Mobile sent me a bunch of links to crazy people yelling out in public on YouTube. And these videos. You'll love these videos. They're hilarious. But I want to share the audio of one that I found was particularly hilarious.
Let it rip.
It's all I'm gonna do is set this up. I'm gonna play this. It's a guy, he's about middle-aged, he's very portly, he's wearing a hat, he's standing in front of a closed set of glass doors. All right, that's all.
Why are you closed? Tell us why you're closed. Tell us why you're closed. Why are you closed? I want to go shopping in the Eaton Center. Why are you locked? Why are you closing your doors? Why are you locking your doors to the public? Why? Tell us the reason. Why? Why? Tell us the reason. Tell us the reason why. Why are you putting people through this? Why? Why?
I love that.
That was my dad going to Starbucks.
The hell is your dad?
Mystery solved.
It loses its impact without the video, dude. It was a little off.
Listen, the point of all this, I want to thank David Mobley, because he's given me 3 great drops that I can use at just the right moment. That being this.
Why are you putting people through this?
I can think of many times when I want to yell that out while reviewing these shows. The second one being this one.
Who gave you the right?
And then finally.
How dare you do this to us?
So thanks for that. I added them to the repertoire because those are just perfect. Why? Oh, man. Canadians are funny. Moving on.
You didn't set that up. I didn't know that was in Canada.
That what he says later. He goes, he's in Toronto somewhere, and it keeps going. I'll put a link in the show notes if you want to watch the full video. Show notes can be found at jockandnerd.com/80. Peoples. Finally, there's a little bit of bonus content out there on the Blabs and the YouTubes. If you guys are interested, I hosted a little informal Blab session with Kevin Helden from 365 Flicks Podcast, and it was about how to record your podcast on Blab. But as things go on Blab and on the show, took all sorts of weird tangential points. And I met a couple of other podcasters popped in, and I met some cool people like this dude, JD Goodwin. He has this podcast called Blue Streak Science Podcast. He's like a really cool science nerd. And he was explaining, I started asking about time travel and aliens, and he explained it very well. And it was totally awesome to geek out with him. And then while we were doing that, this other dude was drawing an illustration of me in a third box while we were hosting the show. So then by the end, there was a drawing of me that he tweeted out, and I'll put that's on our Twitter.
Ooh, I gotta watch that.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy. All these things were happening. But then I had this idea. I want to reach out to JD. I want to do a show on Blab. We should do the science of superheroes. What would it take for Superman to fly or Spider-Man to actually, stick to walls or swing on a web?
Oh,
even make a web. That could be kind of interesting.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So links to that one is that'll be in the show notes, or visit our YouTube page or our Blab page. All right, gang. Time for some news.
The Jock and Nerd Podcast.
Jordan's 100th day on Blab is coming up. We'll be there.
I know what you're starting with, Imran. And before you get into the Deadpool stuff, I have to issue I was wrong on the show.
Oh, so hold on.
Oh, shit.
Crap. Back that up. What? Okay, say that again.
Back that ass up, Anthony.
Back that ass
although
up.
Rugboy said this kind of just off the cuff, and I totally doubted him. He said Deadpool would make $300 million domestically.
I said 200.
You said 200 million.
Maybe 200. It might hit 300 million.
Yes, I was.
Is unbelievable. Seeing as films that have hit there's not many superhero films that have hit 200 to 300 million to hit 300 million. So
in like a week and a half, like we got to start with more Deadpool news. The movie came out last week, and it is breaking all sorts of records. It's surprising people left and right. This thing has gone crazy. It was number one in 60 out of 61 markets around the world. A couple of records that it's broken. Biggest R-rated opening weekend. So is this possible? 132.7 million out of all the R-rated movies. This is the biggest R-rated opening weekend ever.
Yeah.
Why
would you say that isn't?
I don't know, because you think of, I guess it beat out Matrix Reloaded. I guess the R-rateds don't. The PG-13s have the bigger numbers.
Oh, duh. That's why everyone gravitates to PG-13.
Dude, when I was at the theater seeing this shit, I saw so many tweens with their parents and like little kids that begged their parents to take them to this stupid thing, and they went and they watched it. So there's a big thing. I guess it was forbidden fruit. You know,
it was
forbidden fruit, and you can point to. I remember you bringing up, was it too much marketing? It wasn't too much.
I was wrong.
It hit the right notes.
Yes, it was just enough. So not only is the biggest R-rated opening weekend, biggest opening weekend for a first-time director, Tim Miller is going to do just fine. This is his first feature film. Biggest 20th Century Fox debut ever. Fox is rolling in their fucking cash now. And biggest R-rated comic book superhero movie ever.
Oh, shit. Geek boner.
Already. So
in a week. It's only been out a week.
It's at currently, as of right now, Friday, February 19th, it's at 180 domestically.
What would you do if this like surpasses The Force Awakens? Like, what would you just do? Would you just like throw yourself? If you're like J.J. Abrams, do you just throw yourself out a window at this point?
Dude,
if Deadpool.
Well, I mean, it won't, because it's at Star Wars is at 900 million domestically, which is 200 million or 300 million more than anything ever. So it won't. But hypothetically, it would break the space-time continuum, right?
How do you think it's going to do next week? Let's talk about that. This weekend. How do you think?
I think it'll do great, just because February is a terrible month for movies.
And the word of mouth is strong. Hey, Anita, OCDR in the chat is doesn't like these nerd movies, and she's got some pretty funny lines. Biggest snore ever. She didn't like the Deadpool or the Star Wars or any snarky nerd films. I'll tell you what, we're gonna reserve our judgment. We all saw the movie, correct? But we're not gonna tell you what we think, because we're gonna
we'll do a show on it.
You're gonna have to listen
to
that.
We're gonna do a very deep review.
Very deep and wide into the chimichanga. Now, there is a petition. We talked about the PG-13 petition, which got me really upset. There is a petition that I would sign, though. There's a petition out to have Deadpool host Saturday Night Live. And I believe they have like 20,000 signatures, over 20,000 signatures on it. But they want the character of Deadpool to host Saturday Night Live. That could be kind of fun.
Hey, let's do it.
Why not?
Let's make history.
That's never been like
Spider-Man never hosted, Batman never hosted, but Deadpool gets to
have a fictional character. He could be the first fictional character to host SNL. But really,
I don't even want to talk about Deadpool anymore, because I have so many thoughts on the ramifications and why it was successful that it's going to be its own show.
Here's the thing. The one thing I do want to mention, one of the best things that came out was this rant by James Gunn, director of Guardians of the Galaxy. I just put it in the comments there. It'll be in the show notes. He's worried that Hollywood is going to learn the wrong lessons from Deadpool. And I got to agree with a lot of what he said. After watching this movie, I was like, oh boy, get ready for a whole bunch of copycat, shitty, R-rated superhero movies trying to capitalize on this.
You know which one is going to be the one to come out next? Just a prediction. DC's counter to Deadpool?
Blue Beetle?
What?
No. Well, maybe Blue Beetle. I would go with a fast forward Lobo.
Oh, they could do a R-rated Lobo. That's pretty.
That was in the works for a long time, with The Rock playing Lobo.
See, now that is the proper way to take this trend and find the right character that's going to fit this. But this article is great. Did you guys read this article at all? What do you think about this?
What James Gunn said?
Yeah.
I read it.
Well, we should save it for the show.
Yeah, I read it, and I was just going to say I think it applies more to the Deadpool specific show.
All right.
I think. I think that Hollywood is monkey see, monkey do, and capitalizing on trends? Absolutely.
Yeah, Hollywood's stupid, and they're gonna try this thing and blow it. All right, enough.
And that's all I have to say about that.
Terrific.
Enough about the Deadpool. We have other things that happened, like Marvel's Netflix Daredevil on Netflix. Season 2 had a legit trailer, like a 2-minute, 40-second, or whatever it was trailer. And it's pretty badass. Did you guys see this?
Yes, I
What did everybody think about it was a Punisher-centric trailer.
Yeah. I mean, are you getting our opinions or are you narrating?
No, I'm just going to tell you the trailer was about Punisher, and there was awesome lines in there, like Frank going, "You hit them, they get back up. I hit them, they stay down." I'm like, God
his
damn,
whole speech was great to Daredevil.
That is the Punisher. But did you guys notice? I noticed there's been people bringing up screenshots, and at some point it looks like his mask is stitched back together, the old mask, and then there's a glimpse of like a redder new suit in the trailer.
I didn't see that. I gotta watch it again.
It's very quick. There were some people who were screenshotting and like pulling the brightness up to see this.
Yeah, no, I mean, trailer was very good. If you're into first season of Daredevil, I can't see how you won't be into this one. I mean, it does look like it's filmed in a basement. Like there's absolutely no lighting anywhere.
Behind me.
Hey, Rugboy's kind of territory.
I think they filmed it right
I'm
behind
wearing red.
Rugboy is in front of. Yeah, no, you're right. It's very dark and dingy and indoor smoky.
I mean, they're definitely playing up the Catholicism stuff even more, which is a normal Daredevil Matt Murdock thing. Hopefully, the only thing I'd say is I hope there's just more lawyering in this season.
Lawyering? You want more lawyering?
Yeah, you want more courtroom scenes?
I'm sorry, the dude is a lawyer. We got one courtroom scene.
Yeah, but when you watch Batman movies, you don't see fucking Bruce Wayne sitting there making corporate decisions all the time.
You see him doing detective work.
Detectiving.
You see Spider-Man. You see Peter Parker inventing shit. What's the difference?
He is sciencing. That's correct.
All right, whatever. Anyway, I want to mention one thing about the costume thing. There was a theory being floated out on the interwebs that the Punisher beats the shit out of Daredevil so much and ruins his suit.
Oh, maybe that's why it gets busted. Damn, man.
So maybe he needs a new replacement.
Yeah. And the thing ends with Elektra, and there's going to be another trailer on the 25th, and that's probably going to be all about Elektra.
I hope so.
Maybe, I don't know who teams up with who to take down who. March 18th, man.
Is that what it is? March 18th?
I'll be there.
Blow your Daredevil
March 25th
load
is the Batman versus Superman.
March 25th, you'll blow your Batman load all over the face and chest. It's gonna be a lot of geek boner load blowing. Moving forward, hey, did you see this new Predator? There might be a new Predator movie they're working on.
Whoa,
I saw that too.
I believe it's just called The Predator. It's a pretty cool poster.
It's starring Mr. Sandusky of Penn State.
I don't think it's that kind of Predator. To catch,
that's Chris Hansen.
That's Chris Hansen. It says you'll never see him coming, and it just says The Predator. And
Shane Black,
pretty badass.
They should have him do a cameo though, Chris Hansen.
Co-written by Shane Black, which means we're gonna get a Christmas buddy cop Predator movie.
Do you get the "You'll never see him coming" reference?
Because of his camouflage.
Well, but also Shane Black's movie, The Mandarin, says that. Remember all the trailers?
Yeah, they tweeted this out with it said, "Here we go again, bro," which I guess is a line from the first movie. Does Arnold say that?
I don't know. I don't know if he said that. I don't remember. Yeah, I guess so. I'm looking at this article.
So, Predator, man, if you're into Predator,
I'm into Predator. So,
it doesn't say. There's no dates or anything, so it's very early.
Yeah.
Okay, next bit of news is Do-Right says sounds boring. All right, moving on then. Next bit of news is there's been all these, you know how the internet is. There's crazy reports going both ways about Warner Brothers being really concerned with how Batman versus Superman is gonna perform, and it all started with this dude from Hitfix.com reporter Drew McWeeny. First of all, the guy's last name is McWeeny.
Well, he used to be on Ain't It Cool News as Moriarty, And he was like a big time.
Oh, he was Moriarty.
Yeah, he was the guy. He was like one of the guys with Harry Knowles that like was carrying that whole site for a while. And he went over and started his own site, which I think is better than Harry Knowles' site because Harry Knowles does not have an opinion on anything anymore.
Has he become like Kevin Smith also now?
Yeah, you know, you got to keep it real, bro.
Keeping it real means don't have a job and don't be connected. So HitFix is his McWeenie. I feel like I'm saying that wrong and I'm insulting him, but that's his name, people.
No, that's his name.
McWeenie, that's his site. So there's quotes in this from his report saying, this movie is starting to scare Warner Brothers. Response has not been exactly what they wanted. He says Wonder Woman will proceed as plans. Basically, he says, I would be surprised if Justice League starts shooting when they say it's going to. He's anticipating they shove Justice, they get Zack Snyder out of the picture and give either put Batman first and make Justice League give it to somebody else.
I don't know. I mean, let's see the movie first.
Yeah, right.
But then, is Latino Review still a reputable site, guys? What do you think?
They still will put out stuff that ends up being the right, like true. Like they'll get scoops on things.
Well, it's still legit. But El Miembi, which is the main guy behind that site, left and made his own site called Heroic Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
Heroic Hollywood now. So there seems to be a lot of like fighting amongst these sites saying this is not reputable. Anyways, Latino Review has a commentary on that saying, whoa, let's slow down. It might not be that bad. But then he's reporting that now the budget for this movie is like $400 million if you combine the marketing and everything.
It's got to make a shitload of money.
It's got to make $800 million to break even, right? Or something?
No. If you combine marketing, then it has to make. If you just combine it, it's $400.
It's got to make $1 billion. It's got to make $1 billion.
Let's see what Man of Steel made.
So yeah, he talks about what Man of Steel made, and
Man of Steel was 291 domestically, worldwide 668.
So 668,
and that was a production budget of 225.
So even that wouldn't be enough to help this to make this a success in there.
Can I try and extrapolate this really quick?
Yeah, what is going on with all these reports and shit?
Well, I mean, the reports are whatever because this is what happens when you react to fans and you don't have leadership. All right. A long time ago, there was a game that came out called DC Online. Did you remember the trailer for that thing?
Yes, that trailer was awesome.
Okay. In that trailer, Superman was a badass. Batman was all armored up. And Wonder Woman was kicking a lot of butt. And then Lex Luthor was in his big fucking suit.
Do you know who directed that trailer?
The same guy who directed Deadpool.
That's right.
Okay.
Tim Miller.
Rugboy knows.
All right.
Blur Studios. Anyway, everybody was going on and on about how great that was. And that should be how Superman and Batman was. And they literally took that idea and tried to make it into what we see before us. And now that we got what we wanted as fans, now we're all being dicks. But this is what happens. You listen to the fans.
Yeah.
You listen to the fans too much. You got to have a little bit more vision because that video game having Superman coming out like a badass, you know, he was like his eyes were all red, his cape was all tattered and haggard, and he was like a badass. He came in, you know.
Yeah.
So
that's a great
point.
video, but man, this movie's got so many things swirling around it. I guess a couple of actual smart geeks and nerds in the University of Iowa came up with like an algorithm to see how successful this movie is going to be, and they said it has a 32% chance of turning a profit. And there's a bunch of they plugged in the machine and they used they used all the movies leading up so far. To like
what do you mean all the movies?
They said
all the movies ever in history?
No, where it says here in the article, I can't find it.
There's too many trailers, that's all.
Well, that's true. Anyways, there's some whatever.
They gotta stop with the trailers already.
But more interestingly enough, so we gotta wait till the movie comes out, but more details came out, some interesting stuff about Alfred in Batman vs Superman. They're changing up his backstory a little bit. He's not his butler, people.
He's his butt kisser.
He's this butt kisser.
Oh shit!
No, Alfred in this universe was the Wayne's bodyguard, And when his parents got killed, he became his now that's why he's working with Bruce, kind of side to side, and not really in a butler role.
Cool.
He just pretends to be his butler to everybody else.
It's probably like a cover, but he has military training and he can pilot that ship, as we saw in the trailer.
Imran, I want you to know that Mr. Kister sells beard dye, FYI.
Yeah. Oh, he sells beard. No, you know what? I'm not going to dye my beard because
I'll dye my pubes. What kind of colors you got?
Rugboy might buy if you got any bright colors. The thing is, then I'm gonna fucking dye it all the time. Who wants to fucking do that? This is what it is, people. Just embrace it and accept it and move on. If I'm gonna dye my beard, I might as well paint myself in back brown every day like I'm supposed to look. Where does it end? You got anything for balding spots though? No. I can
just tattoo the top of your head.
Just tattoo it black.
Oh, that would be painful. I should just tattoo it black. And also in his cowl, he's got all this tech inside with heads-up display and the lenses. It's kind of cool. He's gonna have an advanced arsenal. He's shooting things. The Batcave's gonna be massive, and it's under his lakeside villa, not by Wayne Manor, which is like destroyed. So that if you want more information about that, check the show notes for that link. They're just trying to. We just gotta wait. Just put the movie out already.
Any other news?
Yes. The Simpsons are going to try to pull off a live action broadcast.
Imran has like 5 more news bits.
Dude,
by the way. Jesus
Think
Christ.
about this. Wait, think about this. The Simpsons, an animated show, it's going to do a show where the last few minutes, will be live mocap characters answering live questions off of Twitter. They're going to attempt this. And they're going to do it twice, like for the East Coast and the West Coast.
Interesting.
How crazy is that? I don't think a cartoon has never done that before. This is going to happen in May.
I will watch it on YouTube.
Right? No. It's going to watch it on May. Star Wars Episode 8 has started filming. Jordan the Pie says, finally, listen, this is the last thing I'm going to talk about because we've talked about DC restarting, renumbering their issues again, really angering comic book fans and readers and just confusing people. We have some more details about it, but it sounds cool, but it's also more confusing. Basically, there's a video. I'll put this link in the show notes. There's a video featuring Jeff Johns, CEO, COO, whatever, of DC. And he's explaining, look, this is a third rebirth. This is going to be in the vein of Green Lantern Rebirth, where he took the character, brought Hal Jordan back, brought all the old mythology and added more to it. The second rebirth being the Flash Rebirth, where he brings Barry Allen back and goes through that whole thing. So now he's like, this is a company-wide, universe-wide rebirth. It's not a rebirth.
What does that mean?
This is what that means. With Rebirth, the main DC Universe titles will be renumbered to new number ones, except, this is where it gets confusing, for Action Comics and Detective Comics, they're going to pick up adding the new 52 issues, and that leaves them, they're going to pick up with their original numbering. That leaves them at 957 and 934, respectively, which that's kind of exciting because you're going to get a comic book issue 1000.
Oh, shit.
You're going to never see issue 1000. So all of the DCU books start at number 1. They're all going to be priced at $2.99. Because right now it's split between $3.99 and $2.99. But
how is this not what they just did? Like,
no, they just did it. Here, well, there's one more thing that makes it confusing. Some of the titles will come out twice a month, and some of the titles will come out once a month.
Oh, fuck you.
Right? I understand what you're doing, but when he got to the end of it, I was like, God, this is still just as confusing as the last fucking thing you guys did.
No, I don't buy it. Look, this is, I'm telling you, DC just doesn't want you to read their comics. They just want you to just throw them in the toilet or throw them in garbage and light them on fire.
I mean, Imran, we've already talked about this. I mean, I'm already like done with comics.
We're done. I think we're done buying. My pull list is down to like 4. When years ago
like you had it like at 35 to 40 comics.
Yeah, it was a stack, and I was like, look at what I got, and now I got like 4, if any, if I can even find anything.
Let's
stopped reading a while ago.
Let's acknowledge Jesse's question real quick, so we do into this like TV shows. Asking, have you heard about the live Gargoyles movie?
What do you mean, live action?
Yeah, apparently they're trying to get a live action, of course, created by the awesome Greg Wiseman, who we've had on the show.
I have not heard about it.
I have not heard about it. If anybody knows put a link in the comments, and we will get back to
that. Would you watch that? Would you be anticipating?
I love the cartoon. I mean, I guess if they could get the same kind of characters into a movie.
I question the technology to do that.
Because if it looks like the World of Warcraft thing, I don't like the way that looks.
World of Warcraft, or I don't even like how Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles looks.
Right? Yeah, that's even like creepy. Like if it's gonna look like that, I don't know.
Oh, here's an article.
But if it could actually look like real world gargoyles moving, maybe it could work. I just love the cartoon. Let's just have the cartoon. Make a cartoon movie. Okay, gang. We've got 6 episodes of 5 different shows we're going to talk about.
We got to get into this.
Starting right now.
Jock and Nerd.
Spoiler alert.
First spoiler alert of the show. Agent Carter this week had 2 awesome episodes where in season 2, they aired episode 6, which is called Life of the Party, and episode 7, which was called Monsters. Should we just talk about this in one big bunch?
It's
one giant episode.
Chunk.
Who wants to start, man? I gotta say this Madam Mask Whitney Frost, she is like a legit scary, dangerous, unpredictable villain. And Wynn Everett, the lady playing Whitney Frost, is killing it. She's so good in these 2 episodes.
Yeah, she's crazy.
I think go ahead, Ruggs.
No, I'll just do a little breakdown. I don't want to narrate the whole thing, but basically the beginning of this episode is that Whitney Frost, am I saying it right? Yes, that's her name. Yep. She absorbed this like dead lady's the matter. What is it called? The zero matter.
Yeah.
The zero matter from that corpse, and it made her powerful. And then the other guy, the other guy turned into a ghost dad.
Wilkes.
Who's that?
Wilkes. Jason Wilkes.
So he also needs some of that dark matter because it'll make him tangible, and thus the search to try and get some of that matter back from Miss Frost occurs. And then
they figure out they can make a containment chamber for Wilkes to keep him tangible.
Yeah, I believe that was the second half of that 2-parter, right? That one with the containment chamber. Yeah, it was.
No, that's the first part because they gotta get Dottie to help, and then they get Dottie to help.
The actual containment chamber. I thought that was in the second. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's one long episode.
Well, they need Dottie because they got to slip into this party, and they know what everybody looks like. And Jarvis has Google Glass in the 40s somehow. They have Google Glass, and they go dancing in the gala.
To me, Dottie, Jarvis, and even Carter were the standout performers of both episodes. I mean, this show is so funny to me.
Yeah.
Everything they say, it's like a very campy 40s show, like espionage show, but tons of humor, and I think it always hits with the humor, in my opinion.
It's like a comedy spy thriller action show.
Like it's it's like a couple steps away from being like Austin Powers kind of sort of vibe, but not but doesn't cross that line where it acknowledges itself.
And I mean, I thought it was the story was well thought out. Like they're asking Dottie for help, and right away you're like, this bitch ain't gonna help you. She's gonna turn on you on the right moment, and sure enough. She does doing the opposite of everything Carter tells them, and they're right there waiting for her. They got a tracking thing on her. They got a toxing thing on her. Like,
well, they did take all these measures to try and keep her in line, which I appreciated.
Yeah, I like that.
Because other shows would have been just like, they would have had a conversation and then be like, okay, and then you don't know. But no, they slapped that thing on her necklace. Yeah. You know, they had her handcuffed at every moment possible.
It was very well written and it made a lot of sense. I was like, wow, this is actually smart. They're thinking of this. But did you notice she still pickpocketed Jarvis's watch while she was tied to the chair?
Yeah, that was weird.
How the fuck did that happen?
A little strange, but whatever.
You know, the last 2 shows, I actually enjoyed them.
Yeah.
For certain reasons. But there were some inconsistencies.
There were some inconsistencies. Now, this is also in this episode where we see Whitney Frost fully use her powers because Dottie gets locked into the council meeting. And Chadwick, I didn't trust him from the beginning. He's like, hey, I set up a meeting with the council. They want to talk to you. I'm like, no, I don't trust this guy.
You didn't see that coming?
I saw it coming, I guess. It was because you know what they do? It's always that hug
Yeah, it's always the hug and he like looks
look to the camera.
Yeah, the look to the camera. It's like,
yeah, like, oh, that means you're up to something. Thanks for the look to the camera. Anyway, she's there. She thinks she's gonna sell them on this energy source, and then they snare her like a wild animal and I was like, dude, you guys have no idea who you're fucking with right now. And she shows them she doesn't need to touch people anymore to fucking kill them. I love that. It traveled through the ground and sucked up certain people.
What was huge about that moment too is Dottie's hiding, and you could see like that's the moment where Dottie, like, she's unbreakable pretty much throughout this episode, but around Whitney Frost, she is scared shitless.
Yeah, she peed a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, she witnesses this, and but when Dottie is a badass, like that torture scene
so
with Chadwick, and she's just like, huh, what is that, truth serum? Like mother's milk. Like, this girl wasn't flinching. She's like, I've burned myself, I've stabbed myself, do whatever you want. I was like, damn, this
her line where the guy, I forget that guy's name, was first gonna torture her, and she goes, ooh, first date, like, just had me cracking up. Her lines, Jarvis's lines, dude, when he's talking to the Google glasses and like, abort. Like, oh my god, he is hilarious.
But you know what was also weird? Like, Dottie pricked Frost with that thing, right? That she needed to get like but there was a lot of fucking fluid in that thing. Did you see all that fluid? It was like there was like 3 ounces. I was like, how did you get all that from a bump?
It's a rapid sucker. That's what they said.
Yeah, it's less than a second.
Very rapid sucker.
Don't think about it too much.
Damn it, those things always...
You're gonna question that, all right? You're not gonna question that Peggy Carter like impaled herself and is walking around and like doing a little limp, and then for some reason Jarvis's wife gets shot, and then they have to rush her to the hospital because she's in critical condition. No, that bullet wound and that wound that Agent Carter had are exactly the same.
You're absolutely right, and I made a note of that at the beginning. I was like, oh, she should be way more hurt. But she was groaning throughout both episodes. So I was like, all right, I guess.
Yeah, she opened her stitches and stuff.
She started bleeding. And so it was neat that Peggy Carter was kind of taken out, sidelined and had to work it from the van there.
It was a very smart way to introduce the wild card being Dottie into the fold. Because there was no other reason to bring in Dottie unless you're so incapacitated that you can't do anything.
And Dottie, I guess conveniently, she was already out west. That was the other thing that was confusing. But,
that was a little confusing.
Yeah.
But who knows?
We also learned poor Sousa, Violet, she don't want to be engaged to him anymore. She's not down with the things that he pretty much
we knew that last week. That was last week.
Well, he tells Peggy finally. Yeah. And then he tells her why, because she thinks I'm in love with you, and they almost kiss. This love triangle thing is getting crazy.
And then Jarvis calls her out.
That was awesome.
That was a great scene. And again, smart writing. Every episode we complain about, they're doing this thing where she's into him, he's into her, she's into him, and they address it. And it's so just commonplace, and she's just so sincere. She goes, I don't know how this happened. I don't know what I'm doing. It just kind of happened. And I'm like, okay.
So you buy the way she. I really think she's a really good actress because you just buy everything she says. Not only that, but she's able to like play like other characters. She gets like chances to be like an American Southern girl or American seductress or a psychologist. So those are always fun too.
It made me feel a little bit more for Peggy with her man situation.
So do you think the show's going to get canceled?
I don't know. I really like it. I think that, like, this season's plot for me is way more intriguing than last year. Like, I'm legitimately like, how are they going to stop Whitney Frost?
I've gotten onto multiple sites though, and they said that the numbers that would put it on the block for being chopped off.
Oh, so it's not making its numbers, huh?
Hey, I mean, 2 seasons is more than you can say for a lot of shows on network TV. A lot of network TV shows get cut off before they get to a mid-season.
I mean, for this show, like this period show, to have these 2 seasons already is pretty remarkable. But look, this show is nothing but like these amazing, strong female characters. Like over.
Hey, man, I'm all for it, but
hey, ratings are ratings. Can't lie. Numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
So what happens at the end of the second one? I felt bad when Mrs. Jarvis got shot. I was really like, sucks. No, not Mrs. Jarvis. Like, she didn't do anything to anybody, and they put her down. But you're right. Like, she gets rushed like she's gonna die. But Vernon is taking over the SSSR. Dottie's on the run. she somehow got out of the trunk at the end.
Yeah.
But Bridget Regan, Win Everett, they are highlights of this show. And at the end, Mrs. Jarvis is in surgery. So next week, there's 2 more episodes 8 and 9. And then the following week is the last episode 10. And then Agent Carter will start again.
Odds are stacked against Agent Carter right now.
Yep.
I mean, she's in that other show.
Yeah, they signed her up for another show. They don't want to lose her.
Which show?
She's a good leading lady.
It's called Conviction or something. We talked about it last week.
Yeah.
Check last week's show notes.
Now, this is the 2 things that I was going to say. Now, we got 2 episodes left, and we have
3.
no Agent Carter bikini scene in California. So that's one thing that needs to be said. Number 2 is that if you like Bridget Regan, the girl who plays Dottie,
yes, love
her. Check out Legend of the Seeker. She's in Red Leather.
Ooh.
And cleavage stuff. So and she kicks ass in that. She beats up guys all the time.
Good. That is
Rugboy approved.
Yeah.
Good recommendation from the Rugs. All right, gang. Next show, which was pretty awesome.
The Jock and Nerd Podcast.
Prepare to be spoiled.
Rock and roll, gang. We have an awesome episode of The Flash to go over. Season 2, episode 14, part 2 of their Earth 2 adventure called Escape from Earth 2.
All right, Imran. In 3 sentences, describe the episode.
Oh,
impossible.
crap.
He ain't gonna be able to do it.
3
Can't do it.
sentences.
He can't do it.
Can you do it, Anthony?
Oh, fuck. No, I have questions, like in the beginning.
Yeah, I got no. Let me describe it in 3
Okay.
episodes and 3
Okay.
sentences.
3 sentences. Go.
Break out Jesse quick. Figure out the guy in the mask.
Well,
Jay Garrick dies.
maybe.
Okay. 4. Maybe was a
That's-
4th sentence.
Maybe. That's a pretty good recap. But look, in the beginning, Zoom has this voiceover where he's like, bring me, well, who the fuck is he talking to? Like, who can hear him? I don't understand.
I think it's
did
just narration.
No,
He's going around. He said he wants the who does he want?
He wants Harrison
Wells.
Wells. He's looking
Bring,
for Wells.
he burns.
He
bring
wants
me
Wells.
Very Dark Knight.
He's
I
on the
love
hunt
that.
for Wells.
Yeah, Carlos says Zoom voice rocks. I do love his voice. It's the
He used the same like kerosene off the side of a building that Batman used in Dark Knight Returns or Dark Knight Rises.
yeah.
It's up. He used a building instead of a bridge.
He got that move from the Bats, but
Yeah.
bring me Wells. But Barry, Earth 2 Barry is a very annoying little dweeb in this, a little bit, constantly saying what the heck, and every time, every moment of this adventure, they're like, Barry, you don't have to go if you don't want to. You sure you want to go? As if to say, Barry, you're gonna get us all killed. And he's like, no, I can do this. I can go. And I guess by the end of it, where he had that little heart to heart with Earth 1 Barry, it kind of paid off, but it was a little bit annoying following him. He's such a dweeb.
So this was the thing that bothered me about this episode. Like, I like this episode, okay? The whole thing was about, trying to get Jesse Quick and Barry out of that prison that Zoom had put them in. And everybody kind of teaming up with Killer Frost even and convincing her to join the team.
Yeah.
And then she builds the ice bridge so they can go up the mountain and get him. And but the thing I didn't like was they were starting this thing where they're trying to decode the guy in the mask's message and everything.
Yes.
And then they completely forget about this guy. And then at the end, Flash is like, let me go get him. And they were like, there's no time.
But no, I think that's intentional. I think this is important. I loved
Of
how.
course it's intentional. But
of course it's important.
I love the explanation of like a 5x5 tap code used by the POWs. I don't know if that's actually true. If anybody has been in the military, let us know.
But
it was awesome, and he taps out JAY. Now the man in the Iron Mask confuses me. I originally thought he may be African American, but now I'm not so sure anymore.
I don't think he is at all.
You just thought it was Diggle.
Or Wally West. Wally West, Earth 2 Wally West. We haven't seen him.
I mean, there's clear significance to him tapping out Jay.
Look,
So,
I think he's the real Jay Garrick.
Yes, I agree.
Because it seemed a little convenient at the end when Jay Garrick was closing that breach that he was just standing there like an idiot, smiling right in front of the breach, like almost waiting for something. And I think he's been working with Zoom. that whoever this Jay Garrick, and I think Ruggs, you had called this from the right away because Jay Garrick disappears and shows up at weird times.
He does.
He'll be like, oh, sorry, I should have got here sooner after like Caitlyn takes out Geomancer by herself. And then he just shows up when everything's done. I'm like, dude, what's up with
that?
This
That might be an intentional red herring too. But because there's a lot of weird stuff. There's also that thing where Barry, he could have vibrated through that glass the whole time, and then he just didn't try to go faster.
He didn't have
like, come on! If you're in there, you're gonna try vibrating at every fucking speed ever. You wouldn't just gonna try one speed and be like, I can't do it. I don't know.
You want to hear a theory? Yeah. You want to hear a theory that my friend Erwin, who's been on the show, thinks that Jay Garrick is Eborg Thawne Earth 2 version. Shape-shifting into Jay Garrick.
I like
and
it.
He's fucking with Barry Allen again.
And he's working with Zoom.
Right.
Who the fuck is Zoom then?
Who the fuck is Zoom? It's Zoom. I don't know who Zoom is, but the guy in the mask is probably Jay Garrick, the guy tapping.
Who the fuck is Zoom? Maybe it's another Zoom from another Earth. This is what a great mystery. I put it out on Twitter. We had a couple
It's Barry's mom.
We had a couple of responses. Jerry Quinones at JerryQM18 on Twitter says Jay Garrick, but maybe from another world or something. Anthony Clegg, of course. This wouldn't be a Jock and Nerd Weekly if Anthony Clegg just last minute sent an email. And he has a crazy theory. He goes, I don't think it will be, but how cool would it be if Oliver Queen is Zoom? We've been looking at it like it's got to be a
Flash that would be crazy.
But it's the same universe. I think Anthony's
No, it could. I mean, anything's possible.
Anything is possible. That's the thing. It could be like an alternate Oliver Queen.
What if it's Quicksilver?
There's also there's another character. Jay Garrick's arch nemesis is a guy called the Rival. He's his reverse Flash. So there's that. And I thought, Jay's not Zoom? I'm so confused, man.
Now my brain's exploding.
Yeah. Let's get back into forget the fucking theories on who this is because we obviously don't know.
See how,
what did you think of the episode, Imran? You said you hyped this up as being a really good one.
It was fun. It was a great like adventure, a great escape. A lot of great twists at the end that just left me scratching my head going, what? But there was a couple of things that were odd. Like when they were going back through the breach. And so Caitlyn has zoomed down in ice. But then the next thing we see is Barry jumps back through the breach. And Zoom has wells. That was weird.
What?
Like, what happened to Caitlyn? He actually, so first Cisco and Jesse come through, right?
Yeah.
Then it cuts back to the other side of the breach, and Barry jumps back through the breach into Earth 2 out of the breach. And then that's when Wells stabs Zoom. He grabs Wells and runs. Like, that was kind of weird. Also, I thought it was hilarious how Geomancer just did not get the hint that nobody gives a fuck about him. Not even the writers. He just kept showing up. And still people were like, oh, this fucker again? Like, he's trying to get attention.
Did anyone notice what he looked, the stuff on the internet of who he kind of looks like?
Who, Geomancer?
Yeah.
Who does he look like?
Fat James Marsden from Cyclops.
Fat Cyclops.
Fat Cyclops.
That's funny.
Fat Cyclops. Also, wasn't it weird? Remember when he dropped the building and Jay ran over there?
Yeah.
And he pulled all of 3 people out of the building. And then he stopped. I was like, what? I guess it's a good thing there was only 3 people in the fucking building, dude. Where was the rest of the people?
Lunch break, dude. Do you sit in your cube for lunch? We go to the comic book store.
Carlos has a good question. They closed all the breaches. How is Barry going to go back to help him? He goes, I'll be back for you. And Maskey goes,
because Flash can do that without the breaches, can he?
He can move at a fast enough speed to move through time like that, or move to different Earths.
Isn't that how he got to Earth 2 in the first place?
Well, don't they still have like a speed cannon thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've technology, man. Comics.
There's ways. Cisco will whip up something.
And also, what was the point of Iris and the guy going, I'm going to get you an exclusive with the real Jay Garrick Flash? Like that, there was no point to any of that.
Yeah, the new like Jay Donut.
I totally forgot
Jameson.
Yeah.
He was well dressed, so
that hates Flash.
Yeah.
You're just ripping off shit from Spider-Man left and right.
Oh, totally. I was like, what? This went nowhere. But I love Killer Frost having her like hero moment finally and turning and wanting to help. And I think we're going to see a lot more of her. And they're saying,
Killer Frost. You think so?
Killer Frost. And
why would you think that?
Because I saw an article that says we're going to see a lot more of Killer Frost.
Okay. Nothing implied. I don't have thought Zoom would have killed her.
Right. Because all of a sudden he's got Wells. What happened to Frost? Did she get away? Like, that was all very weird. Iris has family in Atlantis. That was kind of a nice Easter egg. And next week we're going to see Diggle, Layla, and King Shark. Now, we were talking about ratings. The Flash continues to race past major networks in the ratings week after week. It killed in its time slot, coming in second only to NCIS on CBS. So that's pretty big. It's a big show.
Well done.
Yeah.
Good job. Yeah, Flash is good. It's a good show. I mean, it's a good show. I'm not surprised. It's a good show with one of the more popular DC characters out there.
But these mysteries are now killing me. Now, like, I don't know who's Masky and who the fuck is Zoom. God damn it.
Should we find out. Should we move on to Arrow?
Next week. Yes, absolutely. Let's do it.
Strap yourselves in, you fucks. Spoiler time.
All right, this is the Jock and Nerd Podcast. Thanks for joining us. If you guys stick around to the end of the show in the Blab, we're going to open it up and we can geek out with whatever you guys want to geek out. If you got a question, type /Q and we can answer it. We are talking about this week's latest episode of Arrow on the CW. Season 4, episode 14, Code of Silence.
I literally just watched this like an hour.
All right,
ago.
you give us the 3 sentences.
That's the funny thing. I just watched this and I've already forgotten what happened in this episode.
Hey, getting on my speed. Let me see. All right. I'm going to try and do this in 3 sentences. We begin with Oliver having to face off against Damien Dark's wife in a debate.
Yep.
In the meantime, Felicity's mom's trying to throw an engagement party for them.
Yep.
And then what's his name? Mr. Lance gets called to this place and the fucking building falls down around him and they find out that Damien Dark's got or Hive has got these demolition dudes blowing shit up.
The demolition team, I think
they look and say, "Hey, they're blowing up buildings. What's the next building?" And they realize it's the same building that they're having the debate in.
It's the debate building.
So they do some stuff, they pull the fire alarm, get everybody to safety, and Arrow and everybody diffuses the bombs, and a fight breaks out, blah blah blah, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, that's one long run-on sentence. I'll give you that.
But it was short.
It was a short, long run-on. Here's a couple of things I loved. I love Felicity going Overwatch on. Like she's activating her superhero self. I kind of love the motorcycle stunts in that opening scene.
Yeah, they were tailing Dark's wife. Yeah. They were using this whole thing, this guise of being a political thing, and to follow her. And so they were trying to, but then they turned the tables and they were like ready for them.
No, it was an ambush, and she gets away, and they got to fight their way out. But it was a pretty cool. I like some of those bike jumps.
Those stunts were good.
Yeah, the stunts.
They were good. They didn't really make sense though, because there were times when they were jumping over the over the truck, and not I don't know, and you wouldn't notice these bikes just tailing you like that. Thea's bike is glowing red. Yeah, she's got red neon lights,
and they're not that far away. How do you not notice? There's nobody else.
No wonder they ran into a booby trap.
You're not gonna notice a single headlight behind you when the street's deserted. Come on, people. Jesse Looney says, "What about the Mr. Terrific tease?" I love that where Oliver meets him and he goes, "Curtis, that was terrific." Does he say that? And Curtis, you're terrific.
He gives them as an engagement present to Felicity a chip that's gonna activate her spine so she can walk again, and they could have some real sex now.
That's true. Oh shit! That's probably the most important part. That why Oliver was so excited. He's all right. Weekly Nookie is back on, but we didn't call that Curtis would be the guy. We were like, maybe Ray's gonna do this, maybe, and for Curtis to just be like, I needed a power source. I've been working on this, and now that we have, Palmer Tech batteries, this can actually work. You got to implant it in her back.
Maybe she'll get some powers. She has a chip. She's a cyborg now.
Maybe she'll be able to like jump real high or something.
Or maybe she'll just be wireless Felicity.
I love Damien Dark force choking a dude over Skype. That was great.
Yeah, that was funny.
He just looked at a guy and he started choking. Did you catch that Lila is now the head of Argus? A little throwaway line.
Yeah, it was just in a line. It wasn't even like, that's cool.
That was, and I knew that. I was like, now that Waller is dead, they're gonna have to get back in. What do you think of the demolition team? Like the one girl had a nail gun, the other guy had a sledgehammer,
and what did the other guy have?
The other guy just had like knives. He
had a box cutter.
He had a box cutter.
Yeah,
that girl with the nail gun, though, she was pretty badass.
Yeah, she had like a mohawk. She was like all like Kanye designed her outfit,
It was like she was in a Kanye minimalist video.
Yeah.
And duct tape. They were very it was the whole construction theme. They use hard hats as armor and duct tape because we're the demolition team. We implode stuff.
By the way, I just want to say that Kanye pretty much just watched The Matrix, and then when like they're not in the Matrix and they're like in the shitty Earth.
Yeah.
Like he just looked at that and he's like, I'm designing my fashion line after that.
Pretty much. Kanye, it's like what was it called?
Or if you watch Zoolander, the first one where they have like all the homeless people, like he literally did that.
It's just bleak future homeless fashion.
What is it called?
For Bob the Builder to show up to join the demolition team. That's a good one. Now,
but there were some cool fight scenes with the demolition team with the sledgehammer shit. Yeah. It was cool. And what did Diggle have? What was that power that Diggle had all of a sudden? He said, I got some surprises too.
Oh.
Like Diggle did some crazy power shit.
Did he? I don't remember that.
Yeah. There was the guy had him on the ground with the sledgehammer.
Oh,
and then there was some kind of energy blast or something, the force blast.
Yeah. I don't remember.
I didn't really catch it. What it was, but he's like, I got some shit I can do too.
Dude, more importantly, Thea fucking figures out and calls out Ollie about his kid. Now she knows, and it looks like
that obviously because they're using it as a plot device in the next episode.
Yeah, dude, and Dark has the kid. He brings this over to his daughter. He's like, "Hey, man, you got a new friend. Why don't you play?" I was like, "Oh shit!" Oh, and then like next episode, it's all out and but I liked how Thea was like, "Look, you made the right move not telling Felicity, but." Initially, why don't you just tell Felicity and tell Felicity, by the way, don't tell anybody because I told the mom I wasn't going to tell anyone.
I know.
Well, I'm going to tell you because we're getting married, but just pretend you don't know. Like, why can't you do that? Instead of making this
I don't know because he made a promise to the mom. Like, just they're hanging by a string there with that.
I know. And how is this check going to affect his campaign if it was made out from his mom? Like, it has nothing to do with him, although he went to college with her. Whatever. That'll be interesting. I can't wait for the baby mama drama to blow up. I love that Curtis's screensaver was a Felicity going blah 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 blah, but she was flattered.
That's what my screensaver is.
It's just Felicity going blah blah blah.
Yeah,
and
I just talked to it.
And then in the flashback, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Ollie kills Conklin finally. He makes good with the people. He's trying to get him on his side. Ryder needs him. I don't know what's going on.
I hate the flashbacks. They're pointless. I would rather see what's going on in today's world.
I mean, is it going to lead somewhere to like season 5 where it all starts when he leaves the island, when the beginning of the episode, like at some point it's going to loop back on itself.
Yeah, it's getting tired, this whole thing. Like Flash is able to do more because they don't have that fucking crutch.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. All right. And then so next week, everybody finds out about Oliver's son and we're going to meet a new hero, Vixen. Remember we talked about Vixen from CWC? They tried her out in animation on the CWC website as short, like 5-minute clips. And it was pretty good. And it's the girl. She's been casted. And her powers are she has an amulet that like gives her the powers of any animal, which would be cool.
Yeah, I want to see how they handle that. That could be interesting.
So
if it's cheesy, though, I won't like it.
I mean, that's the thing. Are you going to see like a wispy hologram of like a wolf come out and then she becomes a wolf? Like, this is more magic in this universe now. So we'll see how they handle it. All right, let's get to the next show.
Let's spoil some shit, Batman.
Thanks. This is the Jock and Nerd Podcast. We are going to talk about this week's new episode of Legends of Tomorrow on CW. DC characters dominating on the CW. This is episode 5, titled Failsafe. Now, before we begin, I have an email from our buddy David Malofsky.
Whoa.
Who runs the great website, A Place to Hang Your Cape. He's been on the show a couple of times. He hosts our show on his website, and we love him for it. It's ap2hyc.com. Check it out. Lots of great reviews. He writes in, "Hi, Imran Anthony and Rugberto Bambino. Four episodes in, and I'm still not convinced about Legends of Tomorrow. In contrast, I remember being hooked on Agent Carter from the pilot. I think Heatwave and Captain Cold are the most interesting characters, followed by Sarah's White Canaries. I'm not interested in Jax or Ray much anymore, and Rip feels like a whiny arse. He lost his family. We know. Get over it. It's also annoying that every episode ends with them deciding to finally be a team. It feels like Power Rangers or something. But the thing that bothers me most is the time travel. It's inconsistent and getting boring. I thought they were going to chase Savage across time, not spend 3 episodes in the 70s, then move on to the even less interesting 80s. It's like they thought of a bunch of really good ideas for scenes with these characters, and I'll admit there have been some good ones, but didn't have enough of a story to connect them together. I'd say it's on par with Supergirl now. Cheers, David."
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with that.
Yeah, it does sound like a lot of stuff that we reiterated. Although this episode was kind of fun. We had some torture. We had some more character moments. We had a female firestorm for a second. A female Russian. The Russians almost had a firestorm. We got to look at the future if they didn't succeed in their plan, and it was that Russian firestorms were going to take over the world.
You know, the thing is that everything's in absolutes in this show. Yeah. It's like Rip Hunter just like sits and tells White Canary, "You got to kill the professor if he doesn't get out in time."
That's brutal, dude.
And I'm like, no, that's not the only thing. I mean, that's the last resort. You know, that's of course the last resort. But if he you know, like it was just so much like, you know, this doesn't happen and this happens. No, you got to make room for other shit to happen. There's always a third way. You know, if you watch Arrow, there's always like a fourth way.
But Sarah was going to pop him, dude. She was going to pop him. And out of all of them, Lenny Snart is the voice of reason throughout this whole episode and the voice of humanity. And I kind of like that coming out of him.
Well, yeah, you get to know Snart a little bit more, and he's got this loyalty thing. He doesn't, when he fucking saddles up with people, he doesn't leave them behind. He doesn't give a fuck. He's a team player.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. In the beginning, they were in a Turkish bath. You know, it's kind of hot. It's a hot scene.
Yeah.
But there was a Captain Cold's pun. Of course, he goes, "I despise the heat." I was like, we get it. We get it. Yeah. But they fight in a Turkish bath. And how are these towels staying on?
Oh, shit.
That's the only thing I could think of. It was very distracting.
Did you ever see that movie with Viggo Mortensen where he History of Violence?
Oh, yeah.
Is that the one I'm talking about?
That's a comic. That's based on a comic book, and it has Viggo Mortensen. Yes.
But no, it's the one where Viggo Mortensen's got all the tattoos, and he goes into the bathhouse and fights somebody naked because the towels don't stay on. The Russian mafia.
But
so yeah, that's what the real fight would have looked like. Yes. Like just Viggo Mortensen's dick just flopping around while he's fighting a guy.
That was the most hilarious shit. Is they're flipping guys around, and these towels are not budging a bit. I thought the scene was going to get a lot hotter, and then I was disappointed. So,
by the way, I'm back. I'm sorry. This is live.
You went somewhere? I didn't notice.
Oh, you could. Yeah, well, you could. Yeah, you could talk. You could do this show on your own. I mean, you don't need it.
I didn't even notice you were gone.
That's the power of live blabbing. Can't pause. Yeah, go ahead, Ruggs.
We're talking about Legends. What'd you have to say, Ruggs?
I don't remember.
What'd you think? You freshly watched this, right?
Legends. I like Legends. I like the pairings of stuff. It was a little weird though because Captain Cold had no loyalty whatsoever to Adam. Yeah, he's been paired with him recently. He would have just left his ass. But then
now he cares about him.
But then no, he didn't care about him.
Heatwave did.
But then he's covering for Jax and being all pissed off at Sarah for wanting to assassinate Stein. I'm like, where is
the voice of humanity?
He has a voice of humanity for Sarah, but then he's does not give a shit about Ray Palmer. Leave that fucking asshole.
That's a good point. He's he put his action figure in his pocket. He goes, "I'll be fine. Let's go." And broke his.
Ray Palmer's is beaten up in a cell. And he's like, just leave him.
Dude, Palmer, I gotta hand it to the character of Ray Palmer. He took a fucking beating. It was a little stupid. I didn't understand why he kept running his mouth, but I kind of feel like he's gonna toughen up a little bit. And
he wants to earn trust. He wants to be a part of a team.
Yeah.
This is what he wants to do with his life. He wants to be a superhero.
Right. He's doing what he thinks is the right thing all the time.
Yeah.
I'll take.
I love Heatwave just didn't give a fuck. He's like, whatever.
He did it until the end.
Yeah, until he finally saw that, because he at that moment when he took the torture for him, I think that turned Rory Mick a little bit.
Rory. Yeah, definitely.
Now, what do we think about another hot, sexy moment was when Vostok tells Stein, "I want to merge with you, Professor." I was like, Valentina Vostok, you can merge with me whenever you want.
Whoa, let me get into that Russian gulag. Anyway,
go ahead, Ruggs.
I have an observation, and I know last week Anthony was all up in the Vandal Savage's butthole.
Yeah, what do you
think of him? Yeah, I don't like Vandal Savage this week. And you want to know why?
Why?
Because the big, gigantic Russian dude that was naked in the bath.
Oh, that guy was.
I'm brutal. That guy looks menacing. That guy looks like a Vandal Savage. And then you have this little shrimpy guy that looks like Borat running around.
That's a good point. That big dude who beat up Ray initially was very.
And I'm like, oh, this guy's way more intimidating, way cooler.
I've never said he's. I do think he's not. The casting choice is weird in terms of body type for sure. He's not physically imposing. But I just find his acting to be kind of entertaining, just the way he speaks. And
he's got these crazy eyes and he's always grinning like an asshole.
His teeth.
His teeth are huge. He's got big, he's got horse teeth.
He's got big, evil chompers. He didn't really do much except for get killed again in this episode.
Hey, that's all he can do. He just dies and reappears.
I think they're going to kill him a bunch of times over and over again as they go through the decades. So
I was like, he had the gun drawn on him, and I was like, you gotta shoot him.
Yeah,
and he didn't do it. And then he shot the other thing and then blew him up. So I was like, okay, he redeemed himself.
I love the continuing relationship between Stein and Jax. They took it another level.
He fucking wrote on his arm. That's fucking crazy.
That had to hurt, and he carved it pretty fast. How did he carve it that fucking fast?
It was like a fucking Etch-a-Sketch the way he carved it in so quickly.
I was like, oh shit, that's gotta hurt. But Jax is there, and he's not Firestorm. He's like, I'm gonna do this myself, and he talks to Stein in Vostok and gets him to fight her. And then Stein, now having gone through this, I love when he goes, look, now that I had a crazy Russian scientist as a partner, I really appreciate you a lot more, Jefferson. And I was like, oh, good for them. They're all buddy now. And it was very good for him to get that perspective.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like the show. I think the way it ended, I liked the Vostok. I thought she was just hot.
Oh, yeah.
And I like the return of Vandal. I think the best part of the show, in my opinion, was towards the end when
the end was great.
Well, not the. I'm not even talking about when they save everybody. I'm talking about the very end where now we get that wild card introduction where now they're in the future and things can be a little bit more wacky and you can turn things on its side. So it's sort of like that Earth 2 feel that the Flash has, where now you don't know what's going to happen because everything's turned on its head.
Kronos finds him, knocks him out of the time stream. They're in some wacky future time. You see a building, it says Smoke Enterprises, and he's like, why does the Palmer building say smoke on it? And then it's 2046. And what do we see? That's Connor Hawk, dude. That's the same image we saw in the Flash when he was traveling through the thing.
Oh, that's him.
Yes.
I couldn't tell that guy was African American in that image.
No, you couldn't in the blue because it was kind of like layered in the blue mush. But when he pulls that, when at the very last scene where he pulls back the arrow, that's what we saw in the Flash. That's gonna be Connor Hawke, which in the books is like Oliver's son. But this is, I don't know what they're gonna do here. But we're gonna meet future Deathstroke and future Ollie with the goatee and the one arm next episode. So that's gonna be awesome.
He's gonna have one arm.
Ooh, Dom Can, female Firestorm was hot. Dom Can too. He also has a good question. If it said smoke on the building, Ollie and Felicity didn't marry. This is what I think it's going to be interesting. This is a future where Oliver does fail his city. That's what I think, because it's all burned out.
Mm-hmm.
And so probably not. Everything probably went crazy.
Well, the time's in flux, isn't it?
Time's always in flux on this goddamn show.
So it depends on the mood. If like Oliver, and Felicity are fighting, then this is the future. And if they make up, then it's not.
Did you guys acknowledge the preview for next Arrow Vixen?
Yeah, we talked about Vixen.
Cool.
And,
all right, never mind.
That Vixen's gonna be awesome. I'm excited for that. And we'll see if it's cheesy the way they.
I thought all 3 teases for next week, although a little cheesy because it's like future Deathstroke, and then one has Vixen, and then one has King Shark. I thought it was all 3 teases made me excited to see next week's episodes.
You notice how there was like multiple characters named Frost in different shows? That got a little confusing for me. And there was something else that was like, there's always these themes running through the weekly shows. It's very weird occurrences that I find. But that's I can't wait to see all the future shit. All right, let's get to our favorite.
The meat and potatoes
at the end. The meat and potatoes.
The Jock and Nerd Podcast.
Prepare to be spoiled.
Oh boy, everyone. Hey, this is the Jock and Nerd Podcast. Thanks for joining us on the Blab. Stick around at the end of the show where we open up the seat and we geek out with you guys, and you're going to want to geek out about this next show. We're talking about The Walking Dead's return to television, the mid-season premiere, season 6, episode 9, titled No Way Out. Holy crap. What an episode. I don't even know where to start. This was directed by Greg Nicotero, who usually does the most awesome episodes of The Walking Dead. If you notice the director, it followed. My favorite part is that the storyline arc in the comic books called No Way Out. They did what they did in the comic books. I was like, I saw the title. I was like, oh snap, are they going to do this? And they fucking did it, dude. They did it.
Can I go over really quick all the shit that happened?
Do it.
Okay.
Do it.
The little kid, which I thought was unbelievable. I didn't think they were going to show the little kid dying on screen like that. Little kid dies. Sam.
That's the first time they've actually shown a
kid die like that
on screen. First child.
That's not what happens first, though.
What happens before that?
Let's start at the beginning. It picks up with Negan's men. And
shit!
Daryl,
I forgot about that.
Daryl and Abraham and Sasha and this guy, a very charismatic gang leader. I kind of was like really enjoying him. He goes, "I'm gonna kill you." No, I'm not gonna kill you. Wait, I'm gonna kill you. And before he can utter another word,
oh shit!
They go kablooey because Daryl with a rocket launcher is probably one of the most most badass things I've seen on television in a while. I wish they'd show him actually firing it instead of just him standing there and it's smoking.
Well, it was a surprise.
But it was a surprise. Like that guy's line before he exploded where he's like, if you gotta eat shit, it's best to nibble. You know what?
No, he doesn't say nibble. He says, if you gotta eat shit, don't nibble. Just eat or chew, eat, swallow. Or bite, bite, whatever the fucking thing is. All right, I'll take
bite, chew, and swallow.
I'll take the ball from here.
Yeah.
So then, little kid dies, mama dies, punk ass teenage brother, Ron wants to shoot Rick. He gets fucking stabbed through the heart. What's his name? Carl gets shot in the eye. Yep. Carl's got to go get surgery. One of the wolves is trying to convince big old girl to run away with him. He has a moment of compassion when he's about to make the break for a ladder, ends up saving her, gets his arm bitten. Then he gets fucking shot as he's taking her. She's big old girl's taking her back to the infirmary or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. He gets shot by Carol. And then after that, it's just a big, huge.
Rick goes Rambo.
Rick goes Rambo. Rick has one of his crazy episodes, and everyone decides, let's get fucking crazy. And the whole town unites, and everybody gets reunited. And
there's a lake of fire.
And zombies.
A lot of convenient appearances. Last minute, the team's back together. Glenn almost dies again. God, so many crazy.
The Avengers show up. Everyone is surrounded.
The Avengers show up. DMT. I don't know what that
Now,
means.
what did you think of this episode, guys?
I love that they did the scene from the comic books. Here's the thing, though. What was weird is they never we saw that.
What is the scene? You got to tell us what the
scene
is.
Where the whole sequence of events. Sam gets eaten. Jesse goes down. She won't let go of Carl's hand. Hand gets chopped off. Ron pulls the gun on Carl. Ron gets killed. Carl gets shot. That's almost from the comic books.
Okay.
Yes, except for Ron in the comic books, it's somebody else who shoots what's his name in the eye. But what they never addressed, originally when Sam goes mom
they never addressed that.
That's when it happens in the comic books. Here's my question. They were walking and it was daylight, and then it was nighttime and they're still fucking in the same spot. Like, how long was it taking them to walk through the fucking thing?
Okay. I hate this episode.
Oh,
with
yeah.
fucking passion.
Oh, shit. Okay.
All right. Because it's so clear that reality has no basis on this show, and it's just clearly writers needed to do shit. And with the exception of Daryl blowing everybody up in the beginning and that scene that you just described where the kid dies and then everybody dies and somebody gets shot, they're standing there having conversations off to the side, and zombies are walking by and they're clearly talking. And you're supposed to be quiet, but they're talking the whole fucking time. They're just stopping and hey, shooting the shit. Oh, we're going to go over there. And I'm not going to go over there. You should go over there. And then all of a sudden, the kid
is so annoying.
Just gets nervous, and all of a sudden, all the zombies decide to attack.
Well, remember, he starts
it was totally stupid.
He starts to hear Carol's words, and the kid freaks out.
Right, but still, they just had a conversation 2 seconds ago that was louder than the kid freaking out. All right, keep it consistent. All right, number one. Number two. All right, number two is if I was Rick. All right, I know this happened in the comic, but if I was Rick, and I saw the kid freaking out, I would have just hit him and knocked him out.
Or pick him up. I was screaming at the TV. Yeah. Pick the fucking kid up and keep moving. What are you doing, you assholes?
So, the fact the kid should have been yelling or something loud, that would be different than the level of talking that they were just doing. All right. So that's one thing. All the talking, everybody's sitting there talking amongst the zombies, the girl and the guy, the medical girl, the fat girl, and the wolf guy. They're just sitting there talking, and they're we need to get up this ladder. And there's one walker that stands in their way, even though they've been running around all these other walkers. This one walker is the one they can't get away from. It's so fucking stupid. And then, to make matters worse, Glenn is surrounded by zombies, and then they come out and they're spraying the zombies. Glenn doesn't get hit at all. Well, there's just bullets flying everywhere through the zombies, but none of them are hitting Glenn.
That annoyed me because one, Glenn almost dies fucking again for the 200th time, and second, Abraham is shooting at Glenn also, not just the zombies. You can't be that good of a shot, dude. Look, this begs the question.
Wait, Imran. Has Rugboy just convinced you that this episode sucked? Is that what you're going with now? Because you just were gushing over that. I just want to weigh your flip floppiness right now.
It's convinced me that this episode gives you a lot to talk about because it.
The consensus on the net was everyone loved it.
It's I think
I loved it.
I hate the fact that they did the fire thing.
You didn't like the fire thing?
Really? Yeah, the fire thing. If fire destroyed the zombie, I know the zombies are drawn to the fire.
Yeah.
But there's fire all the time. The zombies would be dead if they just
fire
walked
all the time.
There's too many zombies. The easiest way to have done anything was to be established before that if you just fucking sound a horn, the zombies will come right to you. And they had a fucking a thing with a horn on it that they just drove that big oil truck in.
Yeah, the semi.
They could have slammed on the horn and then drawn them to the thing and then fucking used the rocket launcher on them. this lake of fire that they all just walk into, I just don't buy it.
I don't know. I think the lake of fire is clever as hell. I mean, we were the ones that were saying, and they should light them up in the quarry. Yeah. Like, we can't have
Rugboy did want the moat. Rugboy was more of a moat guy. We were the fucking torch.
Well, because they're drawn to it's a huge fire in the lake, and they're drawn. I mean, and like instead of hitting a horn and maybe like risking them like coming towards you and not killing them instantly, they just go in the fire and eliminate.
Yeah, but like, okay, you make one loud sound, which is the explosion from the fire. All right, but there's zombies all over this place. There's no place for them to locate that sound to walk towards. It's gone.
But then the fire covers a lake. Yeah, the fire isn't like a small lake.
It's a quiet
but you can't see the fire. You can't see the fire from far away.
It's a quiet way to draw these zombies. Plus, I thought it was
there's buildings everywhere.
You can't beautifully shot though. Like they had dudes on fire walking into the water. It was gorgeously shot. That was great. The practical effects in this episode were really well done. But look, Ruggs, to your point about the writing, I feel like this was kind of a tribute to the comic book readers. Like, as if you read the scene, you really want to see the scene. So they felt like they had to put it in. Now, I think they're going to fuck with things moving forward. So it's not all just following the comic book. I would love for them to confuse the readers and throw it off and go someplace different. But
what do you think about the Rick Nato?
Rick Nato? You mean when he went all... I thought Rick could have taken all those fucking walkers down by himself. He didn't need the help, dude. That's Rick, dude.
I thought I took it as Rick just lost it for a little bit.
Yeah, he needed to let off some steam. His boy just got shot in the eye. He goes, I'm going to let off some steam out here. I'll be back.
You know what? The thing that I didn't like about it was the axe. Because that thing, like, you hit somebody and you got to pull it back out. That slows you down. Like a katana, you just slice right through things and you have to pull it back out.
I actually did. Like, that one point I will agree with is a lot of them were using like butter knives and shit, and like that takes a little more time than just like it's not an easy in and out in a skull. So I would agree with that.
I'm just saying that it's convenient when the zombies can attack you and when they can't attack you. It's like when you want Rick to win, then the zombies can't do shit. But when you want Rick to be scared, then the zombies are undefeatable. Dude, so I just don't think it's weird.
It's just like sometimes bullets go through the wall. Sometimes they don't go through a walker when you're holding them up as shield. Like it's just that's this world. But what I didn't like was I felt Gabriel and Eugene had these huge character shifts, and all the Alexandrians all of a sudden. I like that Gabriel actually did something positive, but you
don't think you said they have these huge character shifts, and they are, but you don't think that they've been teasing these for the last 5 or 6 episodes? You don't think so?
It seemed to come out of nowhere for Gabriel. He was always a coward, and all of a sudden he's like, "No, God wants us to."
He's been asking Rick to help him for the past like 2 or 3 episodes, and what's his name? Eugene's been like in training and like thinking about it, and then the Alexandrians, they've been pushing these guys since season 5 that they were weak. End of season 4 that they were weak. I don't know. I don't think it's a huge character shift when you've been teasing it for a long time.
Okay, I had some more questions that were brought up when I watched this show. Now back to Rugboy's point. Were these deaths meaningful, or were they just for shock value, in your opinion?
I thought the wife or the mom had more to go, so I was kind of surprised with that one.
But do all deaths need to be meaningful necessarily in this world where anything can happen? Anything does happen.
I just think it's funny that it's conveniently always the people that are not in the main cast that die. You know, like,
but the mom was like, they really let us get to know and feel for her. And that didn't help her either.
I did think that Sasha and Abraham were going to get off right away. That one threw me through a loop. I was like, shit, they're gonna kill the two characters right away, like 2 characters we've gotten to know. So that did throw me through a loop.
I like the team. Look, the group itself, they got back together. I've
been dying to see the band back together. So
yes, I was them being separated was getting. I want them to see back together. So they needed this win as a group, as morale. Right, this was a great win for them. They can kind of hold Alexandria. My fear is now we're going to have a couple of shitty, slow episodes because they may have blown their load at the start here coming back.
I just feel like this show is such a high caliber show that when I can see the writing being transparent, I complain about this every week, but when they're clearly doing things like inconsistently like they don't need to be standing in the middle of 1,000 zombies having a chit chat. And then all of a sudden in the next scene, the kid just makes a little bit of a murmur and all of a sudden there's a frenzy. Like, it's like these things have to be consistent. And
you brought it up earlier, Imran, and I will agree with this. They basically left that thread hanging at the end of the last episode where he was like, Mom. Yeah, I thought that was the point where the kid was going to die, not later on.
And is what would attract a walker all of a sudden. But they dragged it out and like.
Doesn't that counteract that tension right there?
Yeah,
they're coming out and everybody's fucking quiet and he's going, Mom. And then all of a sudden you cut to the next episode and they're just fucking playing pinochle in the middle of all these zombies.
Yes.
You're right. Yes. You made a good point.
You guys, did you notice in that scene where those guys get blown up? I'm putting this tweet in here. This guy caught right before the explosion goes off, way back in the background, there's a car that turns around the bend. You see a car and everyone was like, oh my God, could that be Negan? Or is that someone that maybe they didn't close the road off when they were filming by accident? Do you think that's an accident or intentional? For a split second, you see this car just come around the bend and then it explodes. If you look at that tweet, the guy did a good job of actually catching it.
Do you think, have they ever, just look at The Walking Dead's history though. Have they ever put something in this subliminal?
No.
Okay, I don't think it's
just an accident.
Yeah, watch this fucking tweet. It's you could barely notice it. It's like a speck in the background.
It's the fucking asshole craft services guys going, guys, I got your donut. Oh shit, I probably should have not went this way.
It's dude from catering bringing out food to Georgia.
It's the catering truck, and they got in the way. They on Talking Dead, Greg Nicotero did say that scene they made dummies and they blew off propane tanks. To get all the body parts flying. I thought it looked pretty good, for that kind of effect.
It looked great. I thought it looked. I mean, other than seeing the missile fly in, but that would have lost the shock value.
It's like boom, yeah.
I thought this episode was awesome.
Though. Yeah, I mean, they did something new. They've never shown an on-screen child.
The kid getting eaten, and then like Ron having to see his mom get eaten and have her arm get chopped off in front of him.
The whole family gets taken out. Great.
Rick got that whole family killed. Really? Come on.
I mean, they were going to die anyways, but
yes. If I was Rick, I'm sorry, if I was Rick and we're leaving the house and the kids, I would have knocked him out. I would have done something to that kid. Shut him fuck up. It just seems like a dumb move for Rick.
It was. I didn't get the chance to play any of these new bites.
Why are you putting people through this?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what Rugboy meant to say.
Yeah, I'm good. We have to get off this because I'm just going to keep repeating myself. These are the things.
I really want to gauge how far Imran's went, because Imran went from this was the most amazing episode to like agreeing with everything Rugboy says. So, what is your film thought, Imran?
I love the comic book stuff, but when I watched it twice, actually, I watched it when the replay came back on, and I just wanted to see that scene again, but. The more I thought about it, the more some of these things were frustrating. Again, the wolf. The wolf was starting to be an interesting character. And then you just fucking take him out.
Yeah, but he already had his moment of redemption.
Yeah, I guess he did.
Just the fact that he turned around and tried to save a non-wolf is a moment of redemption for him.
I just didn't like the way he went out. I just think that they had survived up to this point and through way more dire situations, and there's one guy standing in front of a ladder, and then that's what takes him out.
Like Denise was like, kind of fast walking.
Carol shot him. I mean,
Carol shot him because she saw him. She didn't know that he was like turning. Hey, Dom can too. I think wins the comments with this one because I never cheered a kid dying in a show like I did with this episode. That's true. I did cheer. I was like, good, die, you fucking asshole, Sam. I hate Sam. No, look. I loved it. This show. I'm not as critical. Look, I understand. I like poking the holes, but for some reason, I just let it go. Like I can't be as critical because I just love this fucking universe in this show.
And you don't have to be. That's what I'm here for.
That's what we literally have Rugboy here to like be the guy that pokes holes in The Walking Dead. Because if without him, it would just be me and you loving it. Yeah. That's good.
So, and then next week we're gonna get kind of that little team up, Butch Cassidy Sundance Kid style episode with Rick and Daryl, and maybe we get to see the Negan. I want to see the Negan.
Bring me the Negan.
Bring me the Negan. All right, gang. Any final thoughts on The Walking Dead? Anybody?
I think it's well established.
Let's kill more children.
Rugboy hated it. I loved it. Imran, we still depending on how he's PMS, if he's PMSing or not.
I hated parts of it. I didn't hate all of it. I hated parts of it.
I like the show every other half an hour of my life, and then I don't like the show in the remaining half hour.
This is me watching Walking Dead. I'm like, why are they doing this? Oh, that's cool.
Who gave you the right?
I'm watching it. Why are they doing that? Oh, that's cool. Oh, holy shit, that kid's dead.
Yeah.
But why did they do
that? Where'd that guy come from? Oh, wow, look at that. Oh, he's gonna die. Oh no, he didn't die. Yeah, that's pretty much the show. Glenn, again, Dom Cantu says it best. Glenn, stop almost dying. And with that, we're gonna wrap up the show. I got some iTunes reviews and some final plugs, and we're gonna get to the post-show open blab, everybody. Jock and Nerd. Okay, we got a new review on our iTunes, people.
Read
check it out. It's 5-star review from CW_50. It says Geekfest. He says, so I stumbled onto this podcast by accident. I was like, what the hell is this all about? Do I really want to hear a nerd spot about comic stuff and the jock just shoot everything down? Not really, but what else was I got to do? So I decided to give it a go. My first foray into this podcast was a head scratcher. What the crap is a Rugboy? Yes, I said Rugboy. Well, I can only say give it a listen. You won't be disappointed. Here's the Rugdown. They discuss weekly comic TV shows, comic movies, and sometimes they have really good interviews. I'm not one for interviews, but I found myself intrigued. The nerd asks insightful questions. The jock chimes in with a jock's point of view. And Rugboy, well, he's Rugboy. All kidding aside, this is a really fun, witty, and entertaining podcast. They even let fans join in on the fun at the end of the show. Even if I didn't like geeky stuff, I would still listen. Well done, guys. Keep up the good work, and I'll see you in the blab.
Jock and Nerd.
Oh, I love that review.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
W50. If you guys want to help a Jock and Nerd and Rugboy out, drop us a review. Subscribe to the show on iTunes. Just go to jockandnerd.com/review. It'll take you right to our iTunes page. You can subscribe, light up those stars, and leave a fun review. I also want to say thanks.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, you can also contact us at Jock and Nerd /contact. There's like 75 different ways Imran's made it so that you can contact us.
We have a voicemail line. We have a speak pipe, Twitter, email, show@jockandnerd.com. Just go to jockandnerd.com/contact.
Did I see a Snapchat too?
I may have started a Snapchat because I was just about, and I was like,
you can find us on Tinder, on Grindr.
I'm on Bumble,
J-Swipe.
Swipe right on Jock and Nerd Podcast, everyone, since 2016.
Wait, I just want to, before you get into your final plugs,
yeah,
what on earth are you going to be snapping, Imran?
I don't know. I was just like, the kids are on this thing. I'm just gonna start an account.
Ooh, chat roulette.
Chat roulette's is that even still around?
That's just dudes beating off, dude.
Yeah.
Whoa, I'm getting on that right now. Hold on.
Rugs, bookmark that site. This is what chat roulette has become, is the blab.
This is basically chat roulette.
I don't even know if chat roulette still exists. The Snapchat, Jordan, find us on Snapchat. I think it's just Jock and Nerd on Snapchat.
A&D or and? A&D.
Spelled out. Yeah, A&D. Okay, and finally, everyone here, first of all, I didn't tell people, click this tweet, tell a little bird, get this out. But the point of this is the same thing in IRL. If you like what you hear, just tell a friend.
In IRL.
IRL, tell a friend in IRL, or hey, don't even do IRL. If you like this show, post it on your Twitter, post it on your Facebook, spread the geekery around. Go up to the next person you see, give them one of these.
Jock and Nerd.
And if you like this show too, you should go back and listen to prior episodes like some of our reviewers have done.
That's right. People are catching up. Jesse Lyons, thanks for powering through. We've got over 100 hours of geeky content. I mean, this is episode 80, people. So tell a friend if you like it. If you don't like it, tell us. Send us an email. show@jockandnerd.com. Rugs, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter. That's it. Just at Really Rugboy on Twitter.
On the Twitters.
And if you send me a Valentine, I might not see it till the next show.
Till the next Valentine.
I have to disagree, Imran. If you don't like the show, just fuck off. I don't care.
Oh, all right. Do that.
Bro, do you even podcast?
Who cares? A jock said that.
I suppose you could do that. Also, I was trying to be nice. Look at
why? If you don't like our show, fuck off, dude.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't have to listen.
You don't have to listen.
That's what a jock would say.
Keep it moving. Thanks for listening to you, listener. We appreciate every second you spend with us. And thanks for everyone in the Blab for hanging out. We're going to open up the seat. This has been the Jock and Nerd Podcast. My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
He's the Jock.
He's the Nerd.
And we'll catch you next time.
How dare you do this to us?
Bro, do you even podcast?
Fantastic.
Jock and Nerd. Yahoo! Oh, and thanks for Jordan for being our Blab assistant. Don't worry, this is still in the show, Jordan. Our BABA, our badass Blab assistant.
Look, we have a guy that subscribed on YouTube. What the hell are you doing?
Oh, wow. Right on, Dom Cantu. Hey, this is the Jock and Nerd Podcast official post show. Open Blab. Anybody, we got an open seat. You guys want to geek out? You got a question for Rugboy? We get to meet Jesse Lyon. I'm really glad he's jumping on because that was the best voicemail I've ever heard in my life.
Hey guys.
What's up, dude? How you doing?
What's up, man?
I'm doing good.
Hey, sweet green headphones.
Yeah, I game. I'm a pretty big gamer.
What do you play, sir?
I used to play WoW, but I got tired of paying in and then having to pay to get any good stuff. So
play.
Yeah. Now I do a little Guild Wars, and I do play a lot of games on Steam, like the Lego games. I'm a Lego nerd.
Oh, Lego.
That's awesome. Those are fun. Steam is a big thing. Everybody's on Steam. Jesse, where are you calling us from?
Oregon.
Oh.
Where's that?
Lebanon,
Where?
Oregon.
Oregon.
It's on the West Coast over there in.
How far from like Portland or Eugene?
I'm about 60 miles or 64 miles from Portland.
What was the town again?
Lebanon.
Lebanon. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
not Lebanon.
Actually,
Lebanon.
I was going to say Lebanon, actually.
I was going to say Lebanon.
Lebanon's in Beirut, and that's a little further away from me.
You don't want to go. You don't want to summer there. Let me tell you what. Jesse, dude, thank you so much for listening, and I can't believe you're powering through all this stuff. How did you find us?
Well, I started watching this podcast because I searched comic books stuff, and I came across this superhero roundup, and it was an okay podcast, but it just felt like everybody's famous people are, they're getting in to watch, exclusives in Hollywood, and it just really it didn't hit well with me. So I just did a search similar, and I saw your guys's and like 3 others, and I listened to a couple of them, and yours just popped. It just something about it. Your charisma, the nerd, Imran's got the charisma. So yeah, I just started listening, and
is it charisma or is it just his retarded voice?
What are you talking about? I don't know. What do you mean?
What was funny was I just got the new iPhone. I'd never listened to podcasts ever. All my friends listen to podcasts. And I go, "Oh, you got a podcast? It's so cool." And so I got my phone, and I'm at work, and I'm like clicking on all these podcasts, and I didn't even realize I'm burning through my data. I burned through 6 gigs in one day. So I had to turn my data off so that way I don't get overcharges on my internet.
No, listen, dude, you download it to your phone over Wi-Fi, and then you don't have to use the data.
You got to use the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing now. I download it at home when I'm on my wireless and then listen to it. I my paying job is I work for Coke, and I stock Coca-Cola in the store. So I have to listen to something. The store music just drives you insane, and so I have my Bluetooth.
What you originally said. You work for Coke. I thought you don't. Instead of getting paid in cash, you just got paid in cocaine.
I work.
No, I don't work for Coke.
I was going to say that's a great gig.
That's how I have it worked out here. That's what I get. I get an envelope in the mail about once a week.
That's how I pay Rugboy for the show. Yeah, that's 1
kilo. One time, Rugboy snorted anthrax and he turned into a puppet.
Yeah, well, that's what I was wondering. Was it anthrax you're getting in the envelopes?
Maybe that's why I lost all my teeth.
You ever seen a puppet snort a line of cotton? It's unbelievable.
So what was the first show that you listened to, Jesse? Was it like a recent one or an old one?
I set it up to listen to episode 1.
You started at the beginning.
Yes, yeah. And I'm currently listening to like episode 64.
Oh,
and
wow.
I think guys like rag on Superman, the new Superman, and I kind of liked it and I kind of didn't. I have mixed feelings. I say if you took Superman Returns and the Man of Steel and you mashed them together, you would have the perfect Superman movie, because I liked the light and airiness of Superman Returns. I liked how everything was bright and it kind of had the feeling of the Christopher Reeve Supermans, but then I liked the seriousness and the story behind the second Superman. I really like the story, and I like the fact that here are two essentially gods battling out over a metropolis city, and you get to see the devastation. I mean, these guys in the original Superman, when he fought Zod, they're bouncing off buildings, but it's like no glass is breaking. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, they crashed a few cars, but that was, long time ago, and I think special effects have gone a lot further, and people want more realism when they want, they want to see the devastation. And so,
well, we're living in a post 9/11 world where, like, we just saw like a skyscraper fall down, and we know what it looks like. So we know that there's dust clouds. Like, we never saw that shit before. Like,
yeah,
exactly. and now it's burned into everyone's skull. Like, what it looks like to lose a gigantic building and have devastation. So now you can't be namby-pamby about it anymore. You have to just it has to be on that level.
Most superhero movies now have their, I hate saying this, there's no other way I can say it, but they have their 9/11 moment. Like, every superhero now has like a major building or something huge being destroyed. Every superhero movie.
Well, and if you really think about it, Superman Returns, I think, might have been a little more on target had the movie come out a little further away from 9/11. I think they wanted to go more away from destruction because 9/11 was still fresh in everybody's brains.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Imran.
No, I just want to shout out to in the chat, Stargate Pioneer. I listen to this guy's podcast. It's called Better Podcasting. It's really good. Thanks for hanging out. What were you going to say, Anthony?
I was just going to ask, so Imran's the charismatic one, and then Rugboy's the puppet, and then I'm just some asshole talking and giving his opinion.
No, actually, you remind a lot of me as far as being you kind of keep things serious. I think if you weren't on the show, it would just be one long tangent.
You're probably right. It'd be a
well, yeah, like I said, Imran could do this show without me or Rugboy. He would narrate entire episodes just because he likes to hear his own voice.
When I first heard Rugboy, I had after like the second episode, I looked to see if he had any videos, and I saw Rugboy on the videos, but I was like, I don't want to listen to episodes, this far. I want to kind of progress through the story. And at first, when he first come on, it was just like one joke after another joke, and I thought, okay, this guy's just comedy relief.
Yeah.
And but then I start, he's really started getting into it, and a lot of his insights, I'm like, this is a guy who's got a lot of heart, and he really knows what he's talking about when it comes to his show. So
if I can remember the name I'm talking about.
Exactly. I'm always this guy and that person, and there's like when I was in the Marine Corps, my drill instructor once told me, if it isn't going to save your life, it isn't worth remembering.
This is also true.
There's limited room in his cotton head. I mean, all the cotton in there, he can't remember the names. That's okay. That's what we're here for.
I can't. That's why I can't do a show by myself, because I don't know shit what I'm talking about.
It's a memory of a goldfish.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I can't do a show by myself because it would never go online. I would never be able to put it out there.
When you do your sports shows, I've never gotten into UFC, and I've never really liked wrestling. I grew up out in the country. We had 3 channels, so I never got into wrestling when I was a kid. It was work all day long. So I didn't get too much into wrestling, but I've always kind of I loved boxing. I watched a lot of the old time boxing when they would air it on actual television before pay-per-view and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I hear you guys talk about it, I learn new things. You guys talk about shows, and then I'll go check it out and go, hey, wow, this is actually a pretty good show, or reading some comics. And I, like I said, I was a poor farm boy. So when my history in comic books is I never really liked reading. And when I read like books, there wasn't anything that really could catch my attention, but comic books really got me over and taught me a lot on how to read. But I couldn't like go through and buy like, oh, I've got the whole series of Spider-Man or all this. So I'd read what I could get my hands on when I could, or while I was at the grocery store with my parents, I'd thumb through a couple at the newsstand there. And then now where I'm at, it's like I have to go to Portland if I want to find a comic book store or,
I don't think they're going to be around. Oh boy. Somebody's fire alarm's going off.
Nope, that's the oven the chicken is ready. And
the cake is done. Well, look, Jesse.
That's the pedophile alert.
That's another red dot.
It was actually a page, but it was for medical transfer. So I only go on first alarms.
Wow. Well, that's interesting. Well, wait, look, Jesse, I got to thank you again, not only for the voicemail, but for what you just said about we'll talk about books and movies and you'll check it out and you'll love it. Like, we don't make any money during the show, but that is profit. That's the profit I'm looking for. When you send in an email like that, when you say that, look, I checked this out. Thank you so much for the recommendation. It's great. When you even said that I couldn't relate to those guys, but I can relate to you guys. That's the profit for me, man. I love that. I can't thank you enough.
Imran speaks for all of us.
Yeah. Well, I just listened to the episode where you brought on your friend that was the rap artist.
Pack One, Little Lab Astronauts, dude.
I was just like, I need to get on and I need to make a comment because I'd love to know how to get my hands on one of their albums.
They're on SoundCloud, dude. It's all, isn't it? It's all on
SoundCloud. So SoundCloud. I think you can find them on iTunes as well. But if you want to get that shit for free, just go to SoundCloud or look up Mitten Lab Astronauts.
Well, if it was someone like a big time artist, I would say, I'm all about get it for free. I don't pay for television. I stream it all.
Yeah.
But this is an up and coming artist.
Yeah.
And, I believe it or not, I think records are going away.
Of course.
I listen to music and I hear how artists, you think they're rich. And a lot of the established artists like Metallica and AC/DC, they're rich and they're still making a ton of money. But these new and up and coming artists, they don't get crap. No. They have to tour all the time just to make ends meet. And you've got to get
it's being paged.
Text message.
Yeah. Well, you got to get a new media form.
Yeah.
And
8-tracks were great. Stargate Pioneer.
Yeah. If you could just make music by putting it out there and buying it straight from the artist and not cut out the freaking middleman.
And you can.
And I see it. I see that's the way it's going to end up going with movies and televisions. You already see it with Netflix. They're putting out 100 times better quality programming.
The thing is, though, it's all about promotion, Jesse, because look at us. Like, we have a show. It's of some kind of quality, not we're not like, but we have something that people can enjoy, but we have no way to get it to them that would cover the.
But that's
the
hustle.
If we put it out there, I think that's the catch-22. If we put it out there as something that had to be paid for, we would limit our exposure.
Yeah, no one would pay for it. But I'm just saying.
Well, you'd be surprised. I mean, like they've got programs where girls are on camera and they get tips on camera and they actually make a living at it.
Yeah. That's called webcamming.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and pretty much what you're doing, and they're performing a service that people want to see. And I don't say it's going to happen in the next year or two, but the internet and everything, it's going to become a place where you look for what you want to see.
Yep.
And, like I would buy cable television if I could go in there and order it like a menu. I want this channel, this channel, this channel. I don't want those channels. And you pay for it by channel instead of going, look, I got to spend this much money just to get the 2 channels that I want to watch.
Yeah. Right. No, that is definitely the future. Rounding this back to streaming Mitten Lab Astronauts, they're cool with it. They put it on SoundCloud for that reason. And if you remember from our interview with Pack One, he doesn't actually believe that music. He believes music is free. He doesn't believe that you need to pay for music.
It's smart marketing. It's like you give out free stuff, you get audience, you build an audience base. But the commenters in the chat here, the Chris Farrell and Stargate Pioneer, like Patreon. There are monetization plans like Patreon. He says we could put paid content behind Libsyn paywall. The thing, I mean, Patreon, I thought about we have lots of extra content.
Stargate brought up the SoundCloud thing that you keep telling me about, Imran.
Yeah, SoundCloud. Look, we do use SoundCloud as a secondary distribution, but it's only for our one podcast PH out in the Philippines. Now, I worry for him because all of his shit is on SoundCloud. These people are hemorrhaging money. Stargate Pioneer says they lost $77 million over the last 2 years. I don't know why I'm still paying these assholes to host the stuff on SoundCloud, but it doesn't get that many plays on the SoundCloud, but people just like the way it looks and the convenience. Look, there's nothing else where you can comment on a track at a certain time of a track and leave a comment.
SoundCloud? I don't think that's a thing. That used to be a thing on SoundCloud, but it's not a thing.
No, you can still do that.
You can still do it, but it's not the main appeal for a lot of people with SoundCloud. It's free music.
Yeah, all of our tracks, one person has left one comment in one section. Spreaker is another one that can do all that. But yeah, you just need to build into this kind of engagement sharing platform because it comes down to marketing and PR. We have a great content. Yes, we know we'll have fun. Here's the thing. Nobody gives a fuck. You got to make people care. You got to get out there and do the hustle. Just like every other, like if you're a musician or a comic artist, a comic creator. And that's why we're here, is to help those people and to help ourselves and promote each other.
Did you guys, Jesse brought up the point about artists creating so that you can just buy straight from them. Have you heard of Tidal?
Yeah, fuck Tidal. Nobody's using that.
That was a artist created thing. That was like Jay-Z and all these big names, Calvin Harris. They all tried it, and it's not doing very well at all. But granted, I think it's because it's the names involved that are behind it. It's like
it's all about marketing. People buy things because they're being marketed. Nobody really stumbles. I mean, there's a percentage of people that stumble upon things, but they're like in the minority, in the extreme minority. Yeah. The general public is sheep that get sold to. And that's the way it works.
Yeah.
They need to be led. They need someone to tell them to buy stuff. They need an ad telling you that your life will be better if you drive a BMW. You know, they need someone to tell you need to buy this new fucking thing. So if you don't have marketing, it's very tough.
Why do you guys think Tidal, or why do you think Imran Tidal didn't work? It's still on, and they still have exclusive music that you can only listen
look, here, there's your point right there. Kanye West said, I'm not putting my fucking album on iTunes. It's only on Tidal. Go fuck yourself. Now, I have this album. I did not get it off of Tidal, and millions of other people also have this album. They did not pay for it.
There's just too many ways. There's just too many ways to go around it.
You can't look. iTunes is the big elephant in the room for everything. People buy TV shows the next day. It broke out podcasts, put it on one. It's not the best podcast directory, but it's just one ends to a mean. But you can't just be on iTunes. You got to put it everywhere.
You know what's crazy too about audio is it's so easy. If it's just played one time, you can steal that audio really quick and put it on free sites. SoundCloud, there's whole concerts on SoundCloud. Whole fucking concerts with pretty good audio that you can listen to on SoundCloud. Live shows.
Live bootleg shows.
And it's just assholes taking the live stream, taking the audio and putting it on SoundCloud.
It's like Spotify. Yeah. I use Spotify, and it's like, I'm paying these guys $9 a month to stream all the music I want to listen to, and they got a lot of artists, and they're getting new artists every day, and it's kind of, in my opinion, it's almost like the Netflix for music. And when
too now.
You can literally go on YouTube and then use YouTube to MP3 and just any video, turn it into an MP3 file and put it right into your iTunes.
No, there's other third-party.
You never have to pay for songs.
There's third-party softwares that allow you to record any audio played on your computer into any form. It's very easy. Chris Farrell says Kanye wants to sue Pirate Bay now because everyone's just pirating his album. Stupid Kanye.
Did you see Kanye's dumbass comments this week?
What's that?
Did you see Kanye's dumbass comment?
That's gonna. We should have a show. Just
he went on a Twitter random nonsense rant.
He was asking Mark Zuckerberg for millions of dollars. Yeah, because he was claiming he's poor, and then he was like, if you give me all this money, there I'll come up with all these things, all these different business ideas. Did you see that though? They took the screen grab of all his business ideas, and it was what were they? CDs, cars, music. tall buildings, like all things that already people have. And he's like it was fucking ridiculous. Like it was like all these things he thinks he can get into business with and help the community out with, and it was like all things that currently exist in.
My favorite thing about what Kanye said this week, which is so hilarious, was that he was on Saturday Night Live and one of his boys was like taping him, like going on a fucking rampage.
Oh, yeah, there's a backstage, and he calls out Taylor Swift.
He calls out Taylor Swift as a fake ass, and then he starts comparing himself to Picasso and Stanley Kubrick, how he's going to be 50% more important in 100 years. Dude, the only reason why people will talk about you is because people will be laughing at how dumb you are. That's all it is.
I mean, if he knows that, though, and he's doing this on purpose, it's pretty fucking brilliant.
He doesn't know it.
No,
I think he is that
crazy artist,
narcissistic and into himself that he doesn't realize it.
Look, this is what happens when you have a star come out of Chicago. That's all it is. Fucking Chicago is complex.
Thing, dude, that album, 808 and Heartbreak.
R. Kelly, look at that.
My Dark Twisted Fantasy. Those two are great albums, and his early stuff is good, and like this later stuff.
Going too much with the auto-tune.
Yeah, it's all auto-tune. But here's the other thing, Anthony. Maybe you could explain this to me. He performed on SNL. These songs. What is it with new hip hop these days and the fact that there's no fucking drum beat anywhere? Like they come out and they're all bouncing. There's no beat though. There's no rhythm. Like it's anti-music. I don't understand.
There's drum beats in a lot of hip hop. It's just
not on the Look, go watch his SNL performances. They were weird. And it was
Kanye's fucking weird, dude.
Yeah, he's weird.
Do you listen to like anything rattled by Kendrick Lamar?
He's gonna fix wolves.
Is he rattled by him?
Yeah, because he came out on the Grammys and he fucking out Kanye'd Kanye.
Kendrick Lamar is ruling the game right now in terms of the hip hop. People are saying he's like Tupac at that level.
I saw that. Is he this generation?
Well, it's just hyperbole. They say that shit.
But you don't think he's? I mean, I think he's very talented.
I mean, look, he's not been on my radar. And I'm like,
me neither. I haven't heard any. But
you guys are both like, oh, current hip hop sucks. Current hip hop sucks. Like you guys are already jaded when it comes to current hip hop.
Except for Mint.
Yeah, but like I know Kanye's music and I hate Kanye, so it's like, what does that say?
I think Jesse
he's getting through. He's pushing through all of this stuff. Maybe that's his marketing genius, but I don't know. Like Kendrick Lamar is not. I can't even tell you what a Kendrick Lamar song is. I know Kanye's music.
That's true.
And I don't want to know Kanye's music. I want to not know Kanye's music, but I know it.
I wish I didn't know Kanye.
Like, I know Beyonce's music, and I really don't want to hear her fucking music.
But single ladies, Ruggs, come on.
Yeah, I think Jesse's frozen. I'm gonna jump back. I'm gonna exit out. Oh, you're there?
Yeah, I'm here. It's just my camera, my frame rate's on my camera.
Gotcha.
So, Jesse, you're a volunteer firefighter?
That is correct.
Do you have any exciting firefighter stories?
Well, I've been on the fire department for almost 10 years now. Wow. At the end of this year will be 10 years. And my one big firefighter moment happened when I wasn't even on the job. I was working in Corvallis, stocking the shelves. And a gentleman came up and asked me if I sold a certain product, and I was like, "No, we don't sell it in this can. All we sell it in is 12 packs." And he started like weaving back and forth like he was getting dizzy. So I had him sit down, and he came up to me and he said, "My heart is stopping," And I thought, well, that's kind of funny, you don't know if your heart's stopping. I mean, if your heart's stopping, you're dead, Yeah. So he's like, I need to take a nitro pill. And so he had an amulet around his neck where he kept his nitroglycerin. So he opened it up and all the pills just went everywhere. So I picked up one and handed it to him. And he took it and instantly just turned like white as a ghost. And I knew the guy's having a heart attack. So I stood up and I walked to the front of the store. And the store manager just happened to be behind the service desk. I said, I need your AED. And he's like, well, we don't have one. I'm like, well, you need to call 911. There's a gentleman having a heart attack. And I went back to the aisle and he was dead. I mean, he was gone. So he had kind of collapsed right next to some hot buttered rum mix. And I pushed that out of the way and I laid him out and I felt for a pulse on his carotid. Couldn't get a pulse. So about that time, another person showed up. And I looked at him and he just got down and started doing compressions. I started doing breaths. And about 2 minutes later, the paramedic showed up. And We ripped open his shirt, hooked him up to the defib, shocked him once. I continued with compressions, and the guy gained consciousness and was talking.
Holy shit. As
we were loading him onto the cart, he was like going, I don't want to go to the hospital. And we're like, dude, you were dead, you know? So, yeah, I was like ecstatic. I mean, I was just like so pumped. Just adrenaline was just flowing. I was going a million miles a minute. They hauled him off to the hospital, and it was I called a good buddy of mine who was a firefighter too, and I told him what happened, and he called the newspaper and was like, "Oh, you're a hero," and I'm like, "Dude, I just wanted this guy to be able to celebrate Christmas with his family. I didn't want to like be a hero." They end up contacting KVAL News, and if you go online, I'm pretty sure you guys can find it in Chicago. If you type in a search for "rescue in the soda aisle," I believe is the title. They came down, and News did an interview, and they had like 5 or 6 articles. And the 7th article, they said, "We want you to come to the Samaritan, and we want to do an article." And I was just like, "Look, no. I don't want to do an article. I'm done talking about it. You know, it's over with." The guy actually called me, looked up my father's name, and because my dad still has a phone number listed in the phone book, and he called me up and wanted to thank me and said that they end up having to put a internal defibrillator in his chest.
Oh shit, he's Iron Man now.
Yeah, exactly.
An arc reactor.
Yeah, so he thanked me, and it was just it's a feeling. You know, I would first learn CPR in boot camp, and then when I got out of the military, I joined a small rural fire department and was on there for 4 or 5 years, and then got away. But I mean, I've known CPR since the early 90s, and I never thought that the first time I would be administering CPR would be out in the field doing, not doing fire department stuff. I figured I'd be on call with all my tools, and it just everything clicked. I didn't have to think, oh God, what do I do? It just was like second nature.
Wow.
Jordan has a good question here. Did that guy remember any kind of like heading to the light moment at all?
No, and my theory on the whole heading to the light, if you believe in a God and you believe there's a God and you come back, then you never really headed to the light because it wasn't your time. When it's your time, it's your time. So I don't know. I never talked to him in that sense on what happened after he left. I know he wasn't really all there. He knew something had happened. And what I speculate happened was his blood pressure started to drop. That's why he was getting dizzy, and when he took the nitro, that's a dilator for high blood pressure. It opens all your vessels so the blood can flow, and his blood pressure was tanking, and he took one of those, and it dropped to nothing.
Dude, you saved the dude's life. We are just assholes who talk about fictional heroes, and you're fucking saving people. But it makes me think. Like, I've taken the CPR class. I've done that ADE training.
AED.
AED, yeah, ADD.
AED.
If ever there was a moment where I had to remember everything and do it, and that I don't know. I think I would fucking choke, dude.
You would.
What, with an AED out there, even if you don't have any training whatsoever, you can use one of those because they talk you through it step by step.
The directions walk you through it.
Right.
Yeah, and even though it's maybe different than the unit you trained on, they're all similar. They all talk to you, and there's like some models will shock, but most models you have to actually push the button. And my one bit of advice, because I've told people, in the interview, I said, not everybody is willing to just stop and help a total stranger, especially in today's society, because you don't know what they have and everything, the funny thing is I have a mask that I carry on my keychain. So you put that down between the two. So you got a barrier so you don't get contaminated. Well, my mask failed. I couldn't get a breath through. I just threw it away after like 2 seconds.
Yeah, I'm going to wear a mask like Batman.
I'm Batman.
The cowl, cape, and mask failed.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's the other thing. They gave us those things, and I think it's still in my bag from years ago, but I'm not going to have that on me at all times. I don't understand how you use this thing.
Well, I keep it on a keychain, and it's basically the mask. They say, it's to protect you from getting a bloodborne pathogen, but I take the class. I have to do 8 hours in that every year. The chance of you getting something from giving CPR is low, but learning CPR is a good thing because it may not be a total stranger you have to give CPR to. I mean,
maybe it's a girl with big tits.
Ideally,
it could be your wife, or it could be your niece or nephew or grandkid or
infant
kid.
Style CPR where you got to cover like their nose and their mouth, which is like, and then push with like a little finger.
Yeah, you push with your thumbs. Yeah, and nowadays you don't even have to give breaths. So in the new standards that just came out last year, or maybe it was the year before, doing the compressions, you're deflating their lungs, so they're getting oxygen. And all you have to remember is the beat to staying alive. If you can do compressions to the beat of staying alive, that's the tempo you want. It's 100 beats a minute. So you just want to if you just remember that, you know everything.
Damn. And
you've got
it's a good,
they've got
100 BPM is a dope hip hop fucking beat too. I'll tell you what.
Exactly, that's the name of my band. Well,
I don't know how to I don't know how to transition from this, but I just really quick, Imran, did you check out the link I put?
Yeah, this is crazy. So that's
Kanye's. His business ideas that he wanted to get into business with Mark Zuckerberg for. If you just look at it, it's just stuff that's.
It's just a list of things that exist.
Exactly.
In different categories. It says marketing, videos, films, brand joint ventures.
Well, he also wants to come up with a cure for HIV and cancer.
Oh, of course he does.
Yeah.
But what is this? This is the a list of a fucking man.
Trademark, but the trademarks and patents are great. Holograms, hovercrafts, 7-screen movie experience, wallpaper screens, emoticon. Wow. Oh, correct.
Emoticon. What does that even mean? Emoticon autocorrect when you can't.
When you type in the emoticon wrong. Yeah.
What? The man is a fucking lunatic.
I just wanted to. We can get back to the CPR discussion, but I just wanted to bring that up real quick.
Tell him to ask Magic Johnson, Jordan.
Well, I think that what we can say is that Jesse is a hero. He saved the guy's life, and he's on call every day to save someone else's life potentially.
Dude, and we are honored that you chose to
that's awesome. And you enlisted in the Army, and you
Marine Corps,
and you did stuff that I would never do. I'm a big pussy, and I would never even think about joining the Army or any kind of armed forces. I just picked.
Well,
I would recommend you stop listening to this podcast because you're actually of importance to the world. And we're just wasting your goddamn time.
The next time he has to do CPR, he's going to be like, hold on, there's 30 seconds left of the Jock and Nerd. I'll be right with you. Rugboy's going to say, hold on, I'll be right. We're going to call someone to die.
As they're dying, I'll just whisper in their ear.
Yeah, you'll be like, 1 compression.
Jock and Nerd.
2 compression.
Jock and Nerd.
That's not staying alive. That's staying dead.
You'd want to.
Well, you guys do this show for free, and I do the volunteer for free. It's everybody. We do get a stipend that the state reimburses us for fuel and whatnot, but it's not about getting paid. And part of me wishes everyone's like, well, you should do it for a paying job. Well, at my age. I could go to school and I could become a paramedic and I could join the fire department, but I'm in my 40s now and I'd be competing for a job with 18 and 19-year-olds. And it's a very fierce market. I mean, there's a lot of people doing, going to school for this now. So I'd rather just do it for free. To hell with all the politics of it. I mean, I deal with the politics. I see it in the paid staff where I'm at, and it's just, I just want to do what I love, and
that's awesome, man. Thanks.
Awesome. Yeah. God, I hope you're nearby next time I fucking can't breathe.
Next time.
What? I didn't mean to say that. Actually, Carlos in the chat says he died once when he was 2. They had to take his heart out. he had his heart taken out.
All right, guys, I gotta dip out because there is some MMA on right now.
MMA. What before you leave, Tony? What does UFC stand for?
Ultimate Fighting Championships. So think of that as like the league, there's a bunch of. It's a little different than any other sport, but think of that as like the NBA, and then the sport is NBA is basketball, UFC is mixed martial arts. Yeah.
So sport is MMA.
Yeah, I know Rousey. I did follow her.
Everyone knows Rousey. Yeah.
I don't follow her too close because I'm afraid she'll knock my ass out.
She cried on Ellen.
She did cry on Ellen.
Was it real? Wow.
Yeah, it was totally real. Why? Okay, wait. Why would you question it being real?
I don't know. Ellen
she can't act that good.
She's not a good actress, and
that's a good point. Yeah.
Like was so devastated by that. Like if you know anything about her personality, you'll know that she had a huge ego going into that fight.
Well,
she made fun of herself.
You can just tell
a little bit.
You could tell she's got a passion for what she does. You don't go in and get the shit kicked out of you if you don't have a passion for it. And when you lose, it's like anything else. I mean, when I go and go to a motor vehicle accident and I lose a patient, it's hard. And a lot of times the only people we can talk to because of all the strict medical, the HIPAA, it's us too. We can't talk about it to people. So we have to talk amongst ourselves.
Dude. Wow.
Yeah, anything medical related. I can post pictures of house fires as long as it doesn't show like an address.
What website?
Like I post.
Never mind.
I know. Well, if we do have a Facebook page, the Lebanon Volunteer Fire Department has a Facebook page, and we do have some pretty good pics. The first fire I went on, actual live fire with Lebanon, was a mill fire. There was nobody in it. They were tearing it down, and spark from a torch lit into some sawdust. It was like a real old plywood mill, and it sat there and smoldered. And it was funny because I went to drill that night, and I didn't eat dinner. I was like, I'll eat dinner at the end of drill. And we just are pulling back into our station when we got toned out for that fire at about 10 o'clock. And so I show up on scene, and I fought that fire from about 10:30 p.m. till 12 in the afternoon the next day. And I was just like, the paid shift changed. So at 7 o'clock they left, and more paid came, and they said, do you need anything? And I was like, yeah, stop at McDonald's and get us some breakfast burritos, because we have auxiliary that bring us food, but they brought us at like midnight. They brought us like donuts and coffee. I'm like, that's a cheap sugar high. I was like crashing after 20 minutes, but and it was hot. It was so hot. The metal was dripping like water drops. And then I had to go do protection for this. They had this huge giant propane tank. It was probably about 100-gallon tank, and it was it had an exposure to the fire, so I had to wet it down. And by the time I got done, it was this giant 100-gallon tank, and it was completely encased in ice. And it had a blue flame because the pop-off valve was doing what it was supposed to do, and venting propane, and it was burning. It was just like blue flame. It's so wonderful to watch. I mean, to be a firefighter, they say most firefighters were pyros, and I did get in trouble for playing with matches when I was a little kid. But when I went in on my first interior fire attack, it was laying on the ground, and the flames were rolling over you, and it's such an amazing sight to see. But it's like, then again, it's like, have you ever been so hot that your stomach is kind of like upset and you got kind of like sick to your stomach? That's the atmosphere that we work in when we're going interior. The water was like.
I just have to say, Jesse, you're awesome, man. Keep listening to the show. Like I said, I got to run. I'd love to listen to more stories. We'd love to have you back on the Blab and enjoy the rest of the time with the nerd and Rugboy.
Definitely. It was nice meeting you guys.
Good night, Anthony.
Good night, Anthony. That's why I love that movie, Backdraft. Like the way they filmed fire as a character, like sneaking under the door. It was like fire was a living character in the movie. It was really well done.
Yeah, well, yeah. Everybody I love Backdraft, but to me it was the ladder. What was it? God, I can't think of the name of the movie, but
Ladder 49.
Ladder 49. That was a pretty accurate depiction. Having what's his name running in with no mask, they back in the old days, they didn't have masks and they didn't pack up on air. So when they did a house search for a person, they went window to window, meaning you went in, you took a deep breath of air and you closed your eyes. Because I don't know if you stood at a campfire and had the smoke in your eyes, it burns like hell. And so they go in there with their eyes closed and their breath held, and they're feeling with their axe as they're holding the wall with their other hand. And as soon as they found a window, they would poke their head out, take a deep breath of air, and continue on. Now, back in those days, you had lath and plaster houses. Everything was wood. The couches were made of cotton. So fires didn't burn as hot. And you know, you've been in an old house that was drafty, and that every house that was drafty, that's air getting in. And so fires didn't burn as hot. And so they did a lot more out, surrounding rounds. They didn't go interior. And, you know, as we're getting better protection, we're getting better gear. We're killing more firefighters. We lose roughly around 300 structural firefighters a year.
Going in
and we lose
now.
Yeah. Now, you had the Carolina fire where we lost all those firefighters in that warehouse. And if that would have happened in Great Britain, the chief would have gone to prison for murder.
Holy shit, really?
Wow.
Because the thing is and the motto that we train on our department is you risk a lot to save a lot. You risk a little to save a little, and you risk nothing to save nothing. So here you have a warehouse fire, and it's full of couches. Now, anytime a couch is in fire, all they're going to do with that building once they put the fire out is they're going to demo it and throw everything away and build a new building. So why are you sending firefighters into a structure? Yeah, let it burn. There's no lives in there. And if there was somebody in there, there's no way they're getting out alive. So and they knew going in, and there was a lot of mistakes, and you see it every day. There was one out in Coos Bay, was a shop fire. And that fire had been burning like all day long. And they called the fire department the first time. They came and investigated, couldn't find any fire, left. And then later that afternoon, they called them back. And what had happened was they had a fireplace that they used to clean parts in. And they put it in themselves. So they didn't follow code. And it got some flames got in between the fault ceiling and the real ceiling. And so it just cooked in there. And a bunch of firefighters got trapped in an empty auto parts store. They couldn't get out. They ran out of air. I watched the video. It's not something you can watch publicly, but they had video on it. And, watching it, it turns my stomach. I see it. And it's just like you see these guys. They worked for 45 minutes on one of their fallen comrades that was down that they had managed to get out of the building. And they actually had other fire departments show up there and relieve them because they weren't going to give up trying to get these guys out, even though, everybody knew they weren't coming out. But if you look at the numbers on that fire, and then you look at the numbers on the Carolina warehouse fire, and then there was one in Seattle, the numbers are the same. I mean, it's the same fire, just in a different building. And yet we're falling prey to the same mistakes that they make, Benjamin Franklin said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And you see it all the time in wildland fire, because we lose a lot of firefighters in wildland every year. It's a dangerous dangerous beast. It's completely different than what I fight. When I see fire, we run in and we put water on it, whereas wildland guy will look at it and he'll be like, well, it's 2:00 in the afternoon. The wind's not right. Okay, we're going to stay in camp. We'll go back and hit it tomorrow morning, because you see it happen. A fire in the wildland. It's
like
moves,
a living creature.
It is, and we had one of the gals that I grew up here that I grew up with. She was a hot shot, and there was one in Colorado, a fire that they got dropped in on, and they got trapped, and none of them made it out, and they didn't even get to deploy their fire shelters. And a fire shelter is essentially a tinfoil bag, kind of like what you'd wrap a baked potato in, and you cover yourself up with it. And I've heard testimonies from firefighters that have deployed them and survived. And when you're in it, it's like you're thinking to yourself, you're burning, because you do burn. These guys get like 2nd-degree burns on their hands, and you lay down and you hold this tarp, and it's like trying to blow off you because the fire is so turbulent that it'll just blow that cover right off of you. And so you got to protect yourself and hold it down. And it's hot. It's like you're in an oven. It's hotter than anything I've ever been in. And I've been in some pretty hot fires. And you're just thinking to yourself, you know, all I have to do is just stand up and it'll be over with. I don't have to deal with it anymore. And so, you know, and these guys, they go into this stuff every year. A good friend of mine, he does it. He volunteers in the winter, and then in the summer he goes on a work crew and is deployed all over the West Coast fighting wildland fires. You know, all I have to say is, you know, you ever see a firefighter, and we're out there, we wear T-shirts that say volunteer firefighters. You know, thank them, appreciate what they do.
Do this, dude. But yeah, I mean, you got to kind of love the fire to make yourself run into the fire.
Exactly. It's sad that I say this, but you know, I have fun at fires, even though I know what we discovered when I was a teenager.
What's really flammable? Coffee creamer, non-dairy dry coffee creamer. We had packets of Taco Bell, but you would put it in a bowl and have one of those backyard torches, and you just take a handful and you throw it at the torch, and it goes whoosh. It's the coolest thing ever. I'm a little bit of a pyro too.
We a bunch of us got together, and we have, you know, big barbecues and bonfires out in our backyard, and one of the guys decided to throw an old tire on the fire. No, actually, we didn't throw a tire on the fire because that would be illegal. But and it was still on the rim, and it still had air in it. And that thing got so hot, it started to melt the truck. So we had to move the trucks away from the fire. It got so hot. But yeah, like I said, most of your firefighters are pyros, and they'll.
The other thing I remember is just to write your name in rubber cement on the sidewalk and light it on fire. That was always fun.
Now about 3 years ago, I did have a close call. I went into, here was a chief had told us to go in. We had a structure next to a house that was fully involved. The roof had gone. I mean, we were just pretty much containing what was left of this house. And this house the guy was like a junk collector. So he had all kinds of crap all over his front yard and everywhere. I mean, you see the houses everywhere.
Order.
And I go in I was first on the hose line, and I'm standing at the door, and it's so black that you couldn't see it 6 inches in. And so I took a step into the door, and I'm hosing things down, and I hollered over the radio to bring the thermal imaging camera. And the guy brought it, and he gets it to me. And so I go to step back, and I stood up, and just as I stood up, something exploded, and it was like a flashbang. I went blind and deaf for about 20 seconds and was completely disoriented. Didn't know where the door was that I came out of, or if the door was even still there, because I couldn't see anything. It was pitch black. And so I'm standing there for probably about 4 seconds, and we have a firefighter, and he's a big guy. He's like 6'4", and I just felt somebody grab my pack and just literally lift me off the ground and pulled me out of this building. And he's hollering at me, and I can't hear nothing. It's just a giant hum. And so me and the two firefighters that were behind me, they got a little bit of the blast, but they not as bad. The ringing, I got my sight back, I got my hearing back, and they rushed us to the hospital and checked us out. And thank God I didn't have any permanent damage. I do have a permanent ring in my ear all the times now, but a lot of that, it scared the shit out of me. I went back on scene. They had the fire out, and we dug through that garage trying to figure out what it was that exploded, but we never figured out what it was.
So had you taken another step, probably would have been a little bit rougher.
Well, I think that what it was we kind of think it was one of those miniature propane tanks that you put on your barbecuer, and it was on the other side because the door opened in, and so the door was open, and I was standing between the door and whatever it was that exploded. Yeah, but it was so black, they couldn't see me, and I was just one step in the door. So next time you open up your front door, take one step and stand. That's how far I was in. and yet they couldn't see me.
Those things blow up good.
Yeah, they do. They do blow up good.
Right on, man, dude.
My dad used to work at a refinery, and he was the fire and safety guy, and he had a bunch of fire stories at the refinery and stuff.
I bet refineries have lots of fires. I love fires.
Speaking of stories, what happened to Do-Right? He
yeah, where did Do-Right go? I'm gonna ping him again.
Yeah, ping him. We gotta get him on.
Oh, and I noticed while you were talking too, like I have my Oklahoma City fire.
Oh, look at that! Shirt. Yeah, breast cancer awareness for Oklahoma City.
Yeah, my fire shirts are dirty. I did drill last night, so I got it pretty dirty last night. Crawling around in a smoke-filled training tower. Or, we have a smoke machine and light, so we go in there and play like it's real, but it's not.
Mine's dirty too, but it's from work.
I'm wearing a Volkswagen shirt, so I'm one of those lovely TDI owners. So I'm dealing with the whole recall issue with the TDIs.
What is the TDI?
Volkswagen.
That's the diesel.
Oh,
the Volkswagen diesel.
My Honda Element has had a recall.
What? This is a big deal because they said that the diesel was like environmentally friendly, but they're really not.
It's not. Oh.
Yeah, they kind of foobarred the government. They put a chip in there that only turns on when it's hooked into DEQ's computer system and regulates the amount of emissions when it's getting tested. When it's off, it doesn't restrict any emissions. So you're putting out like 98% more bad chemicals into the air.
Dirty ass shit.
So it's mostly off, and it only does that when they're actually testing to make it.
Yeah, and so that's why we get the 50 miles to the gallon.
It is.
It is accurate. It gets at 50 miles, but if they and what the federal government has stated that they've got to fix the chip, and if it diminishes the fuel efficiency or performance, then they have to buy back these Volkswagens at sticker price for when they purchase. And it rolls all the way back to 96. Wow. So it was when they first were in. So the real winners are going to be the guy that owns the 96 that's had it for, since 96.
Like, I got a new car.
And it's on its last leg, and he gets his whole $30,000.
I have a Honda Element, and Honda had a huge recall on their airbags. So basically, if you crashed and the crash didn't kill you, the fucking airbag goes off and it kills you. Which is not good.
Well, what a lot of people then they don't tell you this with your airbags, and I'm sure if you read in your book, well, no, you can't disable it, but 90% of your airbags out there are dual stage, or some are even triple stage airbags. And what those are for is when you get in the initial accident and you get in an impact, the airbag goes off and it protects you. Now you're sitting there, you can't get out of your car. Some idiot's tweeting on his phone and he's not paying attention and he hits you. Your airbag will go off again and protect you. And it can go off to 2 to 3 times. So it's added protection, but it makes it harder for us. It's so hard. It's like you got to cut on the dotted lines when you're extricating somebody out of a vehicle. Look up online on YouTube. Look up firefighters hit by airbags, and they've had them where they're pulling somebody out. And I seen one where, it goes off. I seen one. It actually lifted this person like 5 feet off the ground and pushed him like 10 foot back, and he lit on the ground. It bruised a bunch of his ribs, but he was okay. But it's like you've got to disable the battery and then ground out the capacitor, because some of these will hold a charge.
Man, that's tricky, dude.
And they'll still go off.
Ain't helping anybody. Tell you what.
Well, they save a lot of lives, but and I if you've ever been in an accident and you had an airbag deploy, it's easier to hit a bag of air and get a couple bruises on your face than to hit your steering wheel or hit your windshield.
Well, in the Honda Element's case, they said the thing that actually the explosive element that would cause the airbag to go out, they said it was after a while it degrades and it becomes too strong and it just fucking fires shrapnel right at you out of your fucking steering wheel.
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing is you've seen in the last Die Hard movie that was out where he where Bruce Willis just grabs a hold of that airbag and rips it off the steering wheel. Yeah, that would never happen because he No, he burned the shit out of his hands. The chemical that inflates that it's a chemical, and it gets up to 300 degrees. And so if you grab onto that bag, it's hot, after it's deflated. And so then that's like, I find myself, when I watch war flicks, I would pick it apart. I'm like, dude, this guy shot like 300 rounds and he's never changed his magazine.
I've seen
and I find it with firefighter stuff
too.
Yeah, you'll get burned. Now, if you're in the passenger side, they now have, most of your airbags there have a pocket for your face, so it doesn't hit you so hard in your face. They can't do it on the steering wheel because your steering wheel turns. Now they've designed a couple steering wheels where the outer wheel turns, but the center part with the airbag doesn't. But it's still in development stages. But I'm just waiting for the Demolition Man's styrofoam car fill up to come out, where it'll go off and the whole car filled with
big
styrofoam.
a foam.
I'm waiting for the
foam.
3 seashells.
The what?
Yeah,
it was a Demolition Man joke.
That was a Demolition Man joke.
I'm waiting to have virtual sex with Sandra Bullock in her prime.
That would be great. I'm waiting for Stargate Pioneer says you got to use driver's side protection.
Well, everybody's talking about sequels, and I think the movie that needs to be made into a sequel is Groundhog's Day, and they just need to re-release
call it Groundhog's Day too, and it's the same fucking movie. You know how many people would fall for that too? It would be hilarious.
Wow.
I would laugh initially, and then I'd be like, "Hey, wait a minute! What the fuck? They trolled me." And they what? Did you see anybody a Pee Wee Herman fan? Did you see this trailer for the new Pee Wee? I
don't get it because, it's called Pee Wee's Big Holiday.
I'll put the link in here. Set up the trailer.
All right.
Though.
Now,
Pee Wee freaks me the fuck out.
I love Pee Wee, dude.
Is that him finally getting off the roll?
I love Pee Wee Herman. All right, I'm a big Pee Wee Herman fan, but look, I don't get it because the whole thing of Pee Wee Herman is the first movie is his big adventure. He goes on a big adventure, and then in the second movie he joins a circus. And so this movie in the trailer, he's like, Joe Manganiello was like, "Have you ever been outside and done anything?" He's like, "No, I've just been living this very."
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Well, what about the adventure? What about the bike? What about Francis? What about all that stuff?
What about the Alamo? Fucking Alamo."
Well, there's so many movies that could have had a sequel, but they waited way too long to do it. And so when the sequel comes out,
apparently.
Yeah, but is it going to have Harrison Ford in it? Because I don't really think he could pull it off. I mean, maybe if he was like a mentor or, like when Rambo came out with his last Rambo movie, I'm just like going, the guy's so fucking old. What is he going to fight people at the old folks home? They cut off his tapioca pudding. But when they did Creed, I was like, now that's how you do a sequel where the guy is just too unbelievably old to be a boxer. And it was like, Rocky V, that's what Rocky V should have been. And it started out to be that way, but then he beats down a 20-year-old. I mean, I'm sorry if my dad got into a fight with me and I'm old, but I mean, if my dad tried to fight a 20-year-old, I don't care how good in shape you are, you're getting the shit.
Yeah, but Rocky wasn't that old in that one.
No, I know that, but it started out where he was just going to be a mentor. And this guy was going to, basically it was started out to be like the Creed where he was just going to mentor a fighter. And then he ends up fighting this guy that he mentored. And I was just like, it was Creed, such a joke.
I heard it's really good. And I feel it's a really smart way to keep that franchise updated and moving. Because now you can have a bunch of Creed movies. Stargate Pioneer wants to know everybody's favorite Rocky movie.
My favorite Rocky movie would have to be, I'm torn. I love Rocky 1. The fight was good, but it was the story. And a lot of it has to do with the story. If it doesn't have a good story to carry it, I don't care what the special effects are.
It was his story. He wrote it. He wanted to do it from out of nowhere. Phenomenal.
I like them all. So
yeah,
to me,
I like
I grew up
1
in
and
80s,
3.
So that's why the Ivan Drago one it was close to my heart.
I like the Mr. T one.
I like the Mr. T one. I like
him getting trained by Apollo.
Yeah,
I like having him to go to Apollo and getting trained, and then they run in those half shirts on the beach, and then they clap like they have like Down syndrome.
I love the Mr. T one, but did you realize that what made me love Mr. T so much was Mr. T was an actual boxer. He used a sparring partner for Ali.
Really?
Yeah, he used to. He was the guy who would get in the ring and spar with him when he was training for a fight. So I mean, Mr. T was an actual boxer at one time, and so it kind of gave credence, and it didn't feel, even though the whole movie was choreographed, it didn't feel choreographed.
Dude, Mr. T though later on he moved out to suburban Chicago here, I think in Highland Park or Lake Forest, and he had this huge acre, lots of land, beautiful trees. And he starts cutting down all the trees on his property. At which point, the fucking hoity-toity suburb is like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? You can't just cut all these trees down. I don't know if he could or couldn't, but his neighbors were not happy with him.
Well, Harrison Ford lives out in my neck of the woods. He lives out in Sweet Home, Oregon.
Back to Harrison Ford. Blade Runner sequel will star Ryan Gosling and Harrison Ford. The release date is January 12th, 2018, which is Martin Luther King Jr. holiday weekend. And Harrison Ford's reprising his role as Rick Deckard. Dennis Villanueva.
If he makes it that long.
What's that?
That if he makes it that long.
Yeah, if he makes it, they got to shoot it now. So the sequel's written by Hampton Fancher, who co-wrote the original, and Michael Green's based on a story by Fancher and Ridley Scott. It picks up several decades after the conclusion of the 82 original.
Well, at least Ridley Scott's involved, so that's important.
Harrison Ford will trip over the flying cars in the sequel. Good one, Stargate Pioneer.
Well, you probably know this, Imran, the Dukes of Hazzard. Do you remember that show?
I love the general lead, dude. Come on.
That. Well, Luke, or is it? Luke Duke. His brother is a doctor in my hometown.
Duke's brother.
And I actually
I
actually ran into him at it was Payless drugstore. He was coming in. It was right around the holidays, and I come out of the store and I was like, "You look just like this actor from the Dukes of Hazzard." I loved watching
Tom Wopat.
Tom Wopat. Yeah, his Dr. Wopat. He's I don't know if he's still practicing out here, but yeah, and I ran into him and I was just like, wow, I just love it. What are you doing? He's like, yeah, I'm doing country music. And he was talking about all the stuff that they're doing. And he's like, yeah, we're talking about doing a reunion movie. And I was just like, wow, it was so great. Cause I used to love that show. And then, it's like, I'm finding out now that there's a lot of famous people that grew up. Some grew up here in my hometown, and a lot of them actually live. Sam Elliott lives out in Brownsville, and it's like a huge ranch out there. I stumbled across his property one day hunting. I had like 3 armed guards come up with and say, "You can't come over here and hunt." It's just like, okay, but my principal, Mr. Winters, I found out his son played a bit part. He did Kardashian, not Kardashian, but Cardassian off of Star Trek Next Generation. He it's just some no-name actor. And then the other actor that grew up here in my hometown was one of the DJs from WKRP in Cincinnati, and he also played a teacher. I can't think of his name right off the top.
Howard Hessman.
Howard Hessman, yeah, he grew up and went to school at my school.
Remember, was it move to the front of the class? What was that show?
Head of the class.
I used to
Head of the Class.
Hold on, now I gotta look, because wasn't there a bunch of people on Head of the Class?
Brian Robbins, Robin Givens.
Robin Givens was on Head of the Class,
and then they had some other guy come in.
Right.
I don't remember.
Rugboy can't remember the names of actors on current shows,
20
but he
years
can
ago,
remember shows.
Because that's burned into my childhood,
Robin Givens.
Like, I know my phone number from when I was a kid. Like, I remember that shit, but like the shit that I watch. First of all,
Rain Pryor.
When you're doing a podcast and you have to watch all these fucking shows on top of the shows that I want to watch,
it's become work for Rugboy.
Like, I just can't retain all that information.
Are you guys even still following Supergirl?
I watch it. I'll watch it when on DVR. Like, if I have nothing to do, I'll put it on. But...
I'll watch it for fun. I'm actually kind of excited for Gotham to come back too. I'm still watching it.
Well, I don't know if you're following it, but I feel, I mean, they keep pumping it and saying the ratings are up, the ratings are getting up, but I think the show is dying, and that's why they're doing the giant crossover episode.
And you know what? Like we said, Flash's ratings every week are killing this. It's going to be a little shot in the arm for Supergirl's ratings. When
but you can't save a dead show. You really can't save a dead show.
Stargate Pioneers and Supergirl is growing in ratings, 6 to 7 million an episode. That's pretty good.
Well, I used to love Callista Flockhart, and she's married to Harrison Ford, if you didn't know that. But when she was on Ally McBeal, I loved her, even though she was like way too skinny, anorexic, She's like a 30-year older for Arrow, Speedy. That's what Speedy's going to look like in 30 years. Hold
on. Look at this is crazy. I got a bone to pick with Stargate Pioneer now. He's saying it's way better than Agent Carter. And to me, Agent Carter is an amazing female empowered show without it being heavy-handed on the feminism. Can somebody, Stargate, you got to pop in here. I need to talk to this guy.
I can jump out.
The Stargate Pioneer, come in here. You got to defend. No, because the Supergirl is so heavy-handed in its like feminism ways, though it just gets annoying.
And it's so cheesy. It's like this one show that I ran across called Z Nation, and I started watching it, and it's a sci-fi channel show, and I don't know how it's hung on for 2 seasons. The show is just so bad. The special effects just suck, and they jump all over, and the acting is just terrible. And that's where I feel with Supergirl. I think what they needed to have done was taken the character that played Supergirl in Smallville. It didn't have to be her as an actress, but the way that she took on the role of that character, like she's better than you measly humans, because she didn't, like Clark grew up a human. He had special abilities, but he grew up from a baby in the life as human, so he doesn't know anything better. But she's from another planet.
14, I guess when when she got here.
Yeah, so I mean, she's got memories and she's got all these abilities. I would love to just see her be, get her out of the freaking. She's not a newspaper writer. She doesn't need to be a Clark Kent with tits.
That's what I said from the beginning.
I mean, that's what she is. And Clark Kent, she is not either. I mean, Clark Kent played the bumbling idiot way better. But then once he was Superman, he was full of confidence and he was full of power, and he could talk to the same people. And it's not his look that made him different. His ability was the fact that he was so bumbling that they're like, there's no way he could be Superman. But she's like a bumbling idiot when she's in her persona as Lois Lane or as her normal person. And when she's Supergirl, she's a bumbling idiot.
It's kind of growing on me. I feel like it's getting a little bit better. I do like Melissa Benoist as Supergirl in certain instances. I think she
looks great.
She looks great.
She looks great. I just think she just needs to act a little. She needs to be more empowered.
I've been saying the same shit since the beginning of the show. If you remember.
Yep.
Yeah, I do. I think I heard it just yesterday.
Supergirl doesn't trust humans like Clark.
I don't know. Yeah. I didn't like the direction of the show. When I first saw the first episode, I was like, this is just a carbon copy of Superman. She should be her own character. She shouldn't have the same working at a newspaper. All that stuff is like, They could go somewhere different than they can with Superman, and she's got this background that's different, but they kind of failed on every level because they're trying to cling to the popularity of Superman. In the comics, they don't really need to do that.
Yeah, and here's the reason why Supergirl is not going to bottom out. You're not going to see it go away real quick. Is there's a ton of people that are Superman fans. And they've wanted a Superman show. I mean, I watched religiously Smallville, and I got to love Clark, the person that they played Clark Kent as Superman. And what pissed me off the most is we never got to see him be Superman. The very last episode, you see him cut away, and you never see him in Superman costume. And I want to say part of it may have been because DC wouldn't give WB the rights to use Superman. That's why they called him the red, blue blur. He was never referred to as Superman. They never even said his name. All they ever showed when the one guy that could see the future touched him was his cape, and you never saw the S. There was no association with the name Superman. And so you got a hungry crowd out there that wants a Superman television series. And so they're willing to grab onto Supergirl, even if it's crappy, because she's Supergirl and she's flying and she's doing the things that people want to see in Superman. And they're just praying that the writers will pull their head out of their ass and write a story. Because I think that these actors, the guy who's playing Jimmy, is like, even though Jimmy Olsen was, I grew up, he was a white guy with glasses and nerdy, and here he's this hunky black guy. Yeah. And I love him. He's a great actor. Yeah, Calista Flockhart. I think if she toned it down a little bit more,
much.
She's great.
But so Stargate Pioneer does make a good point. It says Agent Carter 2 to 3 million ratings versus 6 to 7 million for Supergirl, which is why I don't think Supergirl's going anywhere, and why we think there won't be a season 3 of Agent Carter. And then he also says they do say Superman in Smallville, but I would think you're fucking around with the fans for 10 years teasing this. At least after 10 years, give him just a little bit of the S and then cut to black. Something. I don't know.
Well, I would have loved to have seen him, because there for a while it was like every season he'd get a new ability. Like, he can see through walls. He can blow. He can do this. But it would have been nice to see him, because you got to see him fly when he was evil Clark. It was Kal-El. With the red ring, and that was great, and I loved it, and he was just like carefree, and like I hung with the show because I loved it. What hung me to the show is, even if he didn't become Superman, the stories were awesome, the characters were deep. I mean, you got to love all the characters, and when they had somebody that just really wasn't, like he had his one friend that just seemed like a whiny bitch, and he was gone. So they really had good writing and a good story behind it, and that's why it stayed on as long as it did. And they knew they couldn't go anywhere. And I think, if they weren't hampered by the studio saying they can't be Superman, it was like they were getting ready, because I think that series ended about the same time Superman Return comes out. Let me
just jump in right here. Okay. Warner Brothers, owns DC. So that's number one. They are very protective, and Warner Brothers is notoriously gigantic pussies when it comes to their properties. If you look at anything from Warner Brothers, they're always like namby-pamby, like they were gonna make a Wonder Woman movie, then they didn't make a Wonder Woman movie, then they were gonna make a movie about the guy who directed fucking the best movie, the Fury Road.
George Miller.
George Miller was going to make a Justice League.
They're going to make that the Tim Burton Superman movie. That never happened.
They fucking are the biggest pussies. So when it came to doing the Smallville show, they were big pussies about it. Now, it wasn't until Marvel breaks open everything that they actually embrace the superhero thing. And that's why DC, DC has been ahead of Marvel in the comics world for fucking decades. And now Marvel is just handing DC their ass all over the place with new media. So that's what it is. It emboldened DC to actually go in this route of making Flash, Supergirl, and all this other shit. And now Marvel's being a kind of a pussy on TV, except for Daredevil. And, their network TV is not as strong as their Netflix stuff.
Well, and that's because I want to say Netflix is almost like HBO. You can get away with a lot more on Netflix.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's where you can see a show like that. Like I could see a Deadpool type show on Netflix where you'll never see it on the network television. But now somebody here, listener mate was saying the only one she cared about was Lois and Clark. And in the beginning, I liked Lois and Clark. Yeah. But then the whole series became Lois is in trouble every week and Superman's got to save him. So it was like Superman was Lois's, and that was all he ever saved was Lois Clark.
Well, Lois got top billing.
Yeah,
right. It was a Terry Hatcher show,
Yeah, and then the minute they got married and were going to pop out a kid, because I saw, I think it was David Letterman or one of those late night talk shows where they were on there, and they were like, "Yeah, our next season we're going to have a baby," and that was like the end of the show. You never saw it come back again, because it's like I watched Jag, and when you had the sexual tension between Mac and her counterpart, the show was great, but you can never put those people together. You can't take somebody that, like they're always chasing after their loved ones. Like in the Spider-Man movies, one of the things that kind of bummed me was like, they kind of felt they had to hit on that every time. Oh, I love you. At the end of the movie, he wins her over and then they're together. And then the start of the next movie, she hates him. And then at the end of the movie, I love you again. It's like you play that plot line once. You don't need to play it over and over again. I don't want to see the same story just told in a different tale.
Stargate has a good point. Can we go back to JAG for a second? Because first of all, CBS shows is always a little iffy. Second of all, the name of the show just makes me laugh. Is it a fighter pilot lawyer? Is that what the show is about?
Wait, you got to get into the show. I mean, it started out. JAG is an actual military thing. It's the Judge Advocate General, and they're basically they're lawyers for the military. So if you're in the military and you need a lawyer, you go to a JAG. Even if it's a civilian matter, you get a JAG lawyer. So what made that show good and why it died was because it got away from the formula of solving a crime. Every episode was solving a crime, and you had a season-long plot where you had like a bad enemy.
Stargate Pioneer says JAG is the prosecutor.
Yeah, well, they are also they're not just in the movies; they're prosecutors. But I had when I was in the military, I had the option to get a JAG lawyer to talk to. So they do both sides, but for the most part, they do prosecute in the show. That's what they were pitted against. But even then, you had Harm and Mac were the prosecutors, but they also had another JAG lawyer defending whoever they were going to court for.
Laugh. So this is like A Few Good Men, the TV show.
Yeah, I want to jump topics here.
Okay, jump.
All right. I was watching the WB or whatever the fuck it is called, the CW. And, you're watching Arrow and you're watching Flash, and then they have the promos for the other shows. Yeah. And I saw a promo that enraged me to the point that I wanted to urinate on my TV.
What was it?
Directly. I wanted to arc it right into the
so that it would short out and kill you. It was that bad. It would just electrocute.
All right. Now, I hate Twilight.
Okay.
And Twilight Light is that fucking vampire show, the Vampire Diaries.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They had a commercial for that they were going to have to face a female Slayer.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, Buffy the Vampire Slayer? And I was just like, I hate Twilight because it rips off Buffy the Vampire Slayer, like all of it. And now they're trying to pull off a Slayer in the show?
And act like it's never been done before?
Yeah! And I'm like, you are not fucking desecrating Buffy. You are not.
Oh, wait, this is what you want.
How dare you do this to us?
That's what you want.
No, the WB is crap.
Well, look, going back to like all the DC shows on the multiple networks, what I do like is that last week, what they did on Flash is now really break open that all these universes are parallel. And they don't necessarily need to follow the same continuity because the Supergirl show is it's like a Richard Donner Superman. I love the way Clark is characterized just in the IM chats in text. This is like your very supportive, positive, like Richard Donner Superman. It's not Man of Steel Superman, but all these universes can now exist together and possibly have fun crossing things over. Like that to me now is interesting because at first I was like, all your shit is all over the place. What's going on, DC? But now I don't know. Like that's kind of clever how they set that up.
Multiverse, they set that up in Flash.
Yeah, the multiverse.
Well, what I thought was funny was when Flash when he traveled in time or traveled through to Earth 2, they actually showed a clip of Supergirl flying.
Yeah, no, and that was
and they showed the old Flash show.
Showed all that. We're gonna see all that stuff. So we saw Connor Hawk in that thing. Connor Hawk is gonna be in Legends tomorrow. All of those things we saw will happen. That's why I love when they do that.
Yeah, and that's where writing, and that's where I heard through you guys about the whole Krypton show, and at first I was with Rugboy on it. Who the fuck cares about Krypton? But I think if they write it right and it's got a good story on how Krypton got to where it got when they had when the planet exploded. It could be a good show if you don't look at it as Superman related. Let's yeah. I mean, don't do. I think they could have just dropped the name Krypton and just go, here's a story about aliens on another planet, and they're leading.
Don't you think that'll ruin the mystery of Superman? I liked the original movie because it was so mysterious. You like everything about Superman and Jor-El and all that stuff were so mysterious. You couldn't understand the technology. It was so beyond it. And now, like when you watch Man of Steel, the technology was kind of crazy, and they kind of kept that mysteriousness of the technology, but it seemed to bring it down a little bit. It seemed to bring it a little bit. All the mystery and the wonder was gone.
Exactly. Well, I mean, when have they ever done a comic book on the history of Krypton?
They might have. Comics have usually touched everything.
Well, I don't mean touched on. I'm talking a Krypton comic book. That just
I'm sure that there is something that's Krypton centric.
It reminds me of there was a miniseries about Thanos, and it showed you like him growing up and going to school, and afterwards I was like, that was neat, but now Thanos doesn't seem like a big badass guy as much anymore. I kind of didn't want to know that he was picked on and bullied.
Like Darth Vader, finding out his story doesn't make him any cooler.
And that's what I was kind of trying to get at was like, these comic books, I mean, they may have touched on Krypton a little here and there, but they wanted that air of mystery where you're left wondering, and let the reader come to his own conclusions about Krypton. You don't need to, it's like, I don't want a magician to come on and show me how he does his tricks. I want the illusion that it's real. Even though I know it's not real, I want the illusion that it's real. So I want the illusion of Krypton to be left alone. If they wanted to start a good television series, it had nothing to do with Superman. Let's go on how the Green Lantern Corps got formed. That I think would be a good movie. The starting of the Green Lantern Corps.
I think they're going to do that. That's in the Green Lantern Corps movie is in the slate in like 2020. I do like the scenes on Krypton and Supergirl. It's kind of a well-realized world that they have there. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, but there you're touching on her past life. You're not touching on why Krypton is destroyed. I mean, they talk about it, but they don't really delve into the backstory of Krypton. But I think they're going
to get there eventually.
Oh yeah.
Ruggs, did you see that episode of Supergirl with the Black Mercy on her chest, and she was in Krypton and then Alex goes in there and she had to fight her way back?
Yeah, I saw all that.
That was pretty cool because it was that homage to that Superman story. The man, what's it called? The Man Who Has Everything or something. But it was basically the same. It was a Black Mercy, and Superman went through this. But I thought that was neat. I like that they're pulling more from the source material. And there was Bizarro and Martian Manhunter. I don't know. I'm stuck on.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think if they can get behind their stories and write a good story for her, I think it would be good to have something, like I said, with Smallville, they had good stories. And so you could kind of get into it, even though every week was a monster of the week, they still had a subplot, a storyline that you could follow and grow to fall in love with these characters. Like I watched, there's been a couple shows that I started watching and you're like going, God, it's just crap. The stories aren't there. The characters, you can't fall in love with them. But then the writers got their legs under them and they were able to pull a good series together.
Hey, listen, I'm going to get going.
Wait, Stargate Pioneer's coming in real quick.
Okay.
There he is. We got to say hi to him, and then we'll wrap up the show. But I want to say hi to Stargate. What's up, dude?
Hey, what's up, guys?
How's it going?
What's up, dude?
This guy, and he has a great podcast called Better Podcasting. I just discovered it, and the reason I love it is because it's exactly the kind of, I'm obsessed with podcasts about podcasting, but I love your guys because it's about hobby podcasting specifically. That's what was missing. I was like, I need a show that deals with our kind of show. And I was like, maybe I should just do it myself because nobody's doing it, but you guys nailed it.
Yeah, thanks a lot. We saw the need for it, and I'm kind of a podcast junkie too because this is my hobby and whatever. And there's some great information out there. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of great podcasts out there about podcasting. It's just when they start getting into the monetization stuff, when they start getting into the we have to be NPR or whatever, it's like, whoa, guys.
Here's how you launch your entrepreneurial interview fucking empire. Go fuck off with all that.
The interview shows over and over and over again. I'm like, the reason why I like podcasting was podcasting started in 2004 and Battlestar Galactica started in 2004. And I kept hearing about iPods. I didn't get an iPod until it was an early Valentine's Day gift in 2007. My wife gave it to me. And I started trying to find podcasts about Battlestar Galactica. I finally did. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. And still today, satellite radio does not have podcasts about science fiction. They don't have podcasts about comic book shows. And if they did, it would be full of commercials. And that's just ridiculous. I love talk radio. I grew up in a barn, literally working in a barn. So I'm listening to talk radio up in Minnesota, WCCO 830, and a bunch of sports stuff, bunch of news stuff, which was great at that point in time in my life. But I'm like, look, there needs to be a talk show about the stuff that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And
like, I'm glad you did it. I'm getting through the episodes, and I think you're going to be getting some voicemails and emails and tweets from me interacting with what you guys are talking about, because it was when I discovered the show I got really excited. Now let's go back to Agent Carter versus Supergirl.
Wait a minute, guy. We are actually in agreement. I was just bringing up the ratings difference that I like Supergirl, by the way. I'm not ditzing it, but the ratings for that show 6 to 7 or more million, which is sustainable. I mean, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is about 5-6 per episode, and Agent Carter at 2 or 3, which would be great on CW, by the way, because that's what they market their shows for. On a network, it's not going to work. We're not going to see a season 3 of Agent Carter, unfortunately, because I really like the show.
I do too, and that's what I was going to ask. Do you think we're going to see? I like what you said here in the comment. Your setup. You said Agent Carter can return as Arrow-style flashbacks a couple of times this season with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I like that, and then we're going to have Marvel's Most Wanted. And then that'll probably be where they put where Agent Carter used to be, right?
Yeah. The only problem I see with that is if Mockingbird does retain on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show, it's going to be hard to make that mid-season finale with her as an integral part of that, and then have her in some sort of action for the next 2 or 3 months, and then come back into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's going to be a very hard storyline to break. Originally, with Marvel's Most Wanted, I do a Marvel podcast, by the way, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so I know a little bit about this.
No,
so
absolutely.
when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. come back, it's just going to be a difficult storyline. So I think originally what they wanted to do with Marvel's Most Wanted is do what DC has been doing, have multiple shows on at the same time. I'm not sure the market is going to sustain that. We've already seen Constantine go. We're going to see Agent Carter go. And
you think Lucifer is going to make it?
Marvel needs a stronger show. Yeah, that's all it is.
All their stronger shows are on Netflix, though.
Yeah, their best.
But they need a stronger network show. They need something that's on the network that could kind of anchor the rest of the stuff.
They need a true superhero, and they're not going to waste a superhero on the small screen.
They need a name, and they're not going to give him a name to play with, unless you take like another third, fourth stringer and make him a thing now. But they're going to want to play with all those characters. So let me ask you this: moving forward, like going into Captain America: Civil War, what do you think? How do you think they're going to tie that in this season? What's going to happen? It's
going to be a loose tie. We've already seen the fracture of the 3 different universes. Last fall, when Kevin Feige made his power play, and he said, "Look, guys, this overarching committee that is." The continuity committee, I forget what they called it, that really controlled the storyline and the true to sense characters, that's all gone. Kevin's like, I can't work with this anymore. It's just too big. And I think we've started to see that fracture with the Netflix series and the break, specifically with Jessica Jones, where you get references, but you're never going to see Jessica Jones in the big Marvel universe, unfortunately. Because
to me, the Netflix stuff is like I think it's better than the movies in some ways. It's like the best thing Marvel has put out.
Well, Daredevil is. I think Jessica Jones has hit a chord in a certain part of the population. Yeah. I have to say, and I've said this on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's not my cup of tea. I mean, I'm watching it because I have to podcast on it, but if I didn't, I wouldn't be watching it again. I will never watch it again after we're done podcasting.
I found that people who aren't into the MCU enjoy Jessica Jones for that reason, is that happened to be a story of, how to survive trauma and PTSD.
I disagree completely. If I would have stumbled upon that show not knowing it was Marvel or had anything to do with Marvel, I would have still watched it. I thought it was that compelling.
I think that's what he was saying.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It's like but that's what I think the genre needs to do. The main genre needs to be the main thing, and it just happens to involve superheroes instead of superhero being the genre.
If you try and stack it up to a superhero show like, whatever, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Arrow or whatever, or Flash, yeah, it's in a completely... It's taking a different total audience that it's trying to get at.
Aside from the whole abuse dealing with, which is a legitimate society thing to deal with, and let's face it, the comics, specifically Marvel Comics, have taken on hefty social issues such as this in the past. This is nothing new for Marvel. But if you remove that and you just take a look at what you get the first actual sex scene that Marvel has ever done. You have the first guy going down on a girl Marvel scene going on. You have the first full-blown same-sex couple on the screen that Marvel has ever done. So there's a lot of there's a lot of societal things that are intriguing to Jessica Jones that are out of the norm, I guess, for what's been on the screen for Marvel Universe up to date. So in those aspects, it was revolutionary. Now, Jessica Jones was never meant to go beyond season 1. It was going to be a one and done and into Defenders. Now they got a second season. I'm interested to see where they go.
What are they going to do? What's the story? Like, she doesn't really have that much more story left as it is. Real quick, Jordan asked, can we make Jock and Nerd shirts? Because I would buy one. Jordan, there's something in the works. I have a friend who started a Teespring shop. I sent her the artwork. She's setting up stuff. There may be merchandise, mugs, T-shirts. I don't know yet. It's something's working. But
really?
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't tell anybody this. But don't you agree they shouldn't have killed goddamn Purple Man Kilgrave?
They had to. He was just so much of a dick that you had to get rid of him.
I think that he ported his brain into someone else's body.
I think they got to bring him. He's like, but again, they gave us an amazing villain. Like, one of their strongest villains. They have a villain problem, overall. Kilgrave was like one of their better villains.
I don't know if David Tennant would have. That's a hard one. I mean, I just don't think that he would have been able to sustain the character over time, because he's already typecast as the Doctor, and he spent a lot of time trying to get out of that typecast. And basically, this was the Doctor, an evil version of the Doctor. So
that's what all the Doctor Who fans were telling me, and I was actually glad that I did not know him as the Doctor, because I just bought him as this crazy, psycho, charismatic dude. How excited are you for Daredevil season 2 now?
Getting excited. Unfortunately, I'll be at C2E2 that weekend, so I won't be able to actually watch it. So we will be podcasting on it on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'll probably mainline it the next weekend and then go into one at a time after that.
What's your take on this Marvel's Most Wanted? Like, do you have any insight on that?
Mockingbird? Yes, please.
Yeah, it's gonna work. Yeah, Mockingbird and Hunter's gonna be in it too.
Yeah,
at least initially. Yeah, I've always loved the actor since Friday Night Lights. I thought she had great potential, and she is pulling everything off. I have disliked the last couple of episodes of the first half of the season to date of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because there's a couple of characters. It's just gotten too heavy. There's too many characters, so they need to spin some characters off. And if they start killing characters off, they'd be like, oh, I can't believe they're doing this. And kind of like what Arrow's doing, that pisses me off to no end. I also have a podcast on Arrow called The Starling Tribune. And what's happening to that show is a crying shame. In the last couple of weeks, I mean, you've seen, are we spoiler okay here?
No, absolutely. I'll even do this for you.
Spoiler alert. Okay. So we've seen Argus basically dismantled. I know that this week Lila came back in, but we'll see where that goes. So you have the Waller dead. You have the Suicide Squad you can't watch. They use Deadshot in Flash as a pansy, and I have a serious problem with what they're doing with Arrow, because Arrow and Deathstroke can't use him. Like, come on, guys. This is where these characters got popular again.
Is this why?
I'm sorry.
Is it because of the Suicide Squad movie they're killing Waller and getting rid of these characters?
That's got to be what it is. And then take a look at the DC cinematic universe as well. You've got, The only reason I think that we're seeing this multiverse pop up in the Flash TV show is they have to find a reason to disassociate Grant Gustin from the cinematic Flash.
Everything they do is reactionary. Have you noticed that? Everything they do, they're like, "Oh, people, let's shove Batman in the movie. Yeah, let's. Oh, they want this. Let's do this now." Like, why don't you think of something beforehand?
The one thing that it will give DC is Marvel has, as we talked about before, Marvel is now fracturing because they just can't keep it all together. Hashtag it's all connected. Yeah, but you can't connect it that closely anymore. Yeah. So they're spinning off. Okay, Inhumans, you're all on TV. Have you heard anything about the Inhumans movie lately? No, that's because they're just going to take care of that storyline on the small screen. The Netflix team, they're doing great. Yeah. They're getting a lot of attention. They're going to do Off Defenders and whatever. And Charlie Cox, he's going to fight to get in the MCU. I don't think we're going to see him in the MCU. I think they're just going to combine him to the Netflix screen. And then you've got the basically the fall of the Avengers as the public knows them. And we'll see how they take.
Well, what's going to happen when these actors, are not going to come back? Like,
yeah, that's what I mean. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what are they going to do? They need something else to hang their hat on. And what's that going to be? Are they going to reboot the Avengers? Like, what's going to happen?
Chris Evans has said he'll be Captain America as long as they want him Captain America. But you're going to have to recast a lot of people really soon. They're getting old.
See, Captain America, Chris Evans has a storyline that he can actually follow because Captain America in the comics gets old and decrepit. Yeah. So Chris Evans doesn't have to be super buff forever. Right. Tony Stark, on the other hand.
Yeah. What are you going to do? How are they going to get out of this?
Yeah, and...
No, I don't think Robert Downey Jr. wants to come back for a lot more because he says I think he's done it all.
He says that now, but the same thing that happened with Chris Evans when he's at the first time he says, "Oh, I'll just do one more movie and that's it." The same thing happened to Hugh Jackman. Now, Hugh Jackman's at a point where he does only have one more solo movie in him because that dude's never going to be that buff again in his life. And then you're going to start to get the Terminator body double thing going on, which could work, but I just don't think Hugh Jackman is going to go on. Robert Downey Jr. could go on, and the dude is an attention whore. So I like him. He's definitely going to miss it. And Chris Evans was going to miss the paycheck. So that's what turned his life around to go, well, maybe this Captain American thing isn't that bad.
This isn't bad. I love being a superhero.
I watched a video and they said why Hugh Jackman couldn't do Wolverine Forever, where
because the dude wants to eat a cheeseburger.
Well, and they were saying that like with Iron Man, you only see his face. You don't see him going shirtless. So he doesn't have to work out. And for Hugh Jackman to prepare for a role, he's got to like work out day and night. I mean, it's almost training to be in a fight. Well, and that's hard on the body to do that all the time, for years.
If you look at Hugh Jackman in the original X-Men movie, he's not built at all. He's like kind of like got an athletic build, but he's nowhere near as cut or huge as he is now.
Yeah, as he got later.
Okay. So that happens with everybody. These, if you're non-athletic and you're 19, 20 years old, in that intervening 15 years, you're going to put on some muscle because you go through if you're working out consistently, I work out a lot. You go through the build, shred phase where you're trying to shred off. You're building definition and shredding off the fat. Right. And it's a losing battle because your body is getting older. But through that process, you build up muscle, and the more muscle you build up and use, the more fat that you can actually go off. So yeah, as you get older, you will see a lot of actors like Ryan Reynolds, whatever. When they get to be the 40, 45 years old, that's as buff as they're ever going to be. And after that, it's a losing battle.
Right, and he's jacked for Deadpool, dude. That guy is in.
I didn't think I was going to like it. It was a fun movie.
Wasn't it fun? It was a lot of fun. I think it's the shot in the arm this genre needs because people are getting tired, and now this comes along. It doesn't take itself too seriously.
Well, from a financial standpoint, it's the shot that needs because you think that only these big flagship movies can make that kind of money, and now you got this fucking character that Rob Liefeld of all people fucking invented.
Well,
it's making a shitload of money.
I'll counter that with Guardians of the Galaxy. Everybody thought that was going to flop, and it didn't.
It's kind of somewhere between Ant-Man and Guardians in terms of like what it was able to do. But man, it was just a great ride. It's a lot of fun. And just for me to see grown men dressed like actual superheroes swearing at each other was just the most glorious thing. When Deadpool goes, Colossus, don't fuck this up for me. I'm like, this is awesome. This is amazing. I never thought I'd hear everybody utter that line in a movie.
Unfortunately now, okay, so I don't have any problem with these R-rated movies, but I will caution the industry as a whole. If you continue to do that, you're going to break off for your young crowd. It's like the NFL. The NFL banned fighting from TV for a reason. They wanted kids to be able to watch the games so they could build into their fandom. Same thing's got to happen with the comic book movies. They can't all be rated R. Otherwise, they will never last for decades.
Wait, they used to be
they're not rated R. They're really not all rated R. I mean, didn't they make a Punisher movie that was rated PG-13?
Well, 2 Punisher movies were R, and all the Blades were R. And there's
My point is, with the Deadpool success, now they're Wolverine will go rated R, and what I saw some on Facebook said, Toy Story 4 is going to be rated R now. You know,
I was going to ask how many shitty copycat movies you think we're going to see before they figure out that that doesn't work.
No, okay, so Fantastic Four. A tremendous flop, right? I think the entire industry has learned that you can't put out shit, and it's not a money grab. You have to put out a good product. And so I think that the studios, as they preview the scripts, as they preview how it interacts with the universe and stuff like that, I think that they will self-police, I think, and try to put the best product out there possible. But
hopefully they've learned this lesson.
But what I worry about with the rated R is we haven't had a rated R flop yet. So they might say,
rated R,
we went too far here.
Now, Fox, so they got X-Men Apocalypse. I think that's going to be good for them. And then this wild card, is this Gambit movie still happening? What is going on? They said they're going to start shooting in New Orleans in March, and everywhere it says October of this year, this movie's coming out. I'm like, really? That's not going to be any good. What's going on?
It depends on the story. Like, if it's really written well, you can shoot it and get out the door really fast, but you still need to edit it. That's the problem.
Yeah, because it's going to take time.
The director never has the best cut. It has to go through the movie critics. It has to go through the movie house production, and it has to go through screen testing. So I don't know. The movie that I'm worried about more, because I'm a sci-fi guy at heart, is Star Trek. I think that thing's going to be it's terrible.
Furious Trek.
It's the 50th, and it's not going to be good.
Hell, but
the Trek and the Furious.
Why would they use like a 20-year-old Beastie Boys song and be like, "Hey, we're all edgy Star Wars with chases," and I'm like, what is this?
Because they're trying to reinvigorate the feel of the original one as he was driving in that convertible.
Yeah. The first movie was great. I love the first movie.
Go ahead.
No, I just said I love what they did, and J.J. Abrams got his fingers everywhere. Wait, the last thing I want to mention is here's the one thing DC is going to do. They're going to beat Marvel with Wonder Woman, with the first, lead female, which
is unfortunate.
That's very unfortunate. Now, Wonder Woman is a way older character than Miss Marvel, and I could see how they would. I mean, they're making risky movies, and they have a
point, yeah, they got Kara Danvers as Supergirl. And now you got Carol Danvers as Miss Marvel.
That was always the same, though.
Yeah, it's gonna be confusing. But man, I'm excited. I think Wonder Woman. I'm excited for what they showed. The little bit, her riding on the horse with the sword, and her fighting in slow motion in World War I. It looked pretty.
I still think Gal Gadot is not the right girl to cast.
I agree.
I'm with you.
But she's hot. I'd bang her in a second. But she's just not Wonder Woman.
Not saying much.
Sorry,
Bugs. You're a felty.
Bridget Regan would have been a 10 times better choice, if you ask me.
Lots of people would have been a better choice.
Yeah. Adrian Palicki, maybe?
She was already Wonder Woman.
She was in that really good pilot.
God, I watched that pilot and it sucked. I mean, it was bad.
Not her fault.
No.
Yeah, it's the director's fault. He's an idiot.
But the Gal's got the role. Gal's got to be Wonder Woman, just like we're going to have Batfleck for the next 10 years. Probably going to have Gal Wonder
That's
Woman.
fine, but I think that they made the wrong move. I'm sorry, but I don't think that they should have cast her.
I don't. Okay, so the only Batman movie that I really can get into is the '89.
Yes,
Keaton
right
movie.
on. Yeah, that's my favorite.
So I'm not a Batman, especially as dark as the Nolan series went. I'm not a fan. I know a lot of people are. I am not a fan. So I'm not excited about this Batman versus Superman because Batman is in it. Superman, okay. Man of Steel, I was okay with. I know a lot of people weren't. I was okay with. I guess I'm kind of contrary in a lot of cases because I like the Phantom Menace, and nobody likes the Phantom Menace. So,
oh, we met someone who liked who was that?
Wow.
Oh, Scott Larson. We talked to this local comic book artist. He loved the Phantom Menace. The Phantom Menace introduced a lot of new things, and there were some new concepts. I'll give it that.
Right.
Wow.
So, to get back to DC, I'm just not excited to see it. But every time I see Wonder Woman show up in the middle of the fight with her shield, I go, okay, that's worth seeing.
That's what audiences react to in the theaters. I've also noticed. It's like, yeah, baby. But then when Wonder Woman comes on, you hear like an audible gasp, like go across just random moviegoers. They're like, what? Wonder Woman.
Last fall when Ant-Man came out, or I forget what movie I was in. It might have been The Martian. I saw the 2 trailers of Star Wars and Batman versus Superman. Star Wars, there was clapping. There was everybody was just excited. There was hooping and hollering. Batman versus Superman, I'm not kidding. Crickets.
Oh my God. Ouch.
I was like, and I was with them. I'm like, no, this doesn't excite me. I'm not, no thanks.
God, I'm nervous for them. The build up to this. It's been 3 years, the hype, all the stuff coming out. Is it going to be, it's making me nervous for them. And I don't even really give a fuck. Like this, just put the movie out already. Let's see what happens.
Well, they took too long.
Yeah.
That's they took way too, they pushed the movie back. They took it too long.
Yeah.
They had to.
Yeah.
Take a look at the movies that came out where it would have released. They had no slot.
Mm-hmm. And yeah.
Yeah, but it still took too long. They people have been waiting for this movie so long. It's coming now, and now there's so many trailers and so many teasers. They've been teasing this shit for fucking 10 years.
I mean, you can never live up to the hype, and I don't know if it's going to be profitable, given what.
Okay. Until recently, Batman was the #1 merchandising superhero in the world, right?
It makes like $500 million a year just in licensing or something.
Spider-Man outgrew him like last year or the year before or whatever. But it's still a big draw. There's still going to be a lot of people that go to it. It's just I'm not going to see it opening weekend, not necessarily on principle, but I just
shit.
I don't think it's going to flop. I just think it's going to underperform somewhat.
Yeah,
I think the studio has realistic expectations. I just think that there's going to be a certain portion of people that don't go see. Look, if you're not a comic book fan, it's Batman and Superman. Of course, I'm going to want to go see it.
It's going to be basically like Man of Steel.
Yep, it's going to be.
It got released, and then everybody went to go see it, and then you're going to hear there was a backlash on the internet and on social media and in general from a large percentage of the fan base. So you're talking about like 70% of the people that went to go see it were like they're super pleased with it. There's people who like that movie, but they're in the minority.
I just think it's hilarious how that Man of Steel comes out, and for like a month, everyone's like, "Oh, Superman, great!" And then, for some reason, slowly everybody just turns on the movie. Like initially,
I didn't like it from the first day that I saw it.
But that always—it's so funny.
And I wanted to love that fucking movie. Yeah. I was like, a badass Superman, awesome. But it wasn't even like the shit that people were mad at that I was mad at. Like people were mad at like him killing Zod. I didn't care about that. I just cared about, dude, like he could have, he killed him saving one person after like everything was destroyed. And I mean, it's like there was already a million things getting killed, like buildings going down. And then, there's a guy at a subway station with his family and that's when he kills him. Like there was other things that bothered me more than that he killed somebody.
Superman snapping necks left and right,
At least they are going to address that in Batman versus Superman.
Again, reactionary. This was never the plan. They're like, crap, we got to shove Batman in.
They never had a plan.
No, they didn't. Look, and here's my other problem. The title, Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice. That's 2 movies squished together. How about just focus? Show me just a Batman versus Superman movie. Then show me like a Dawn of Justice. There's way too much this movie has to accomplish to be good, and that makes me really nervous. There's no way they're going to be able to juggle all this crap.
We'll see. I mean, they have to have screened this. They have to have crafted it as best they can. They know this is their shot. They know they're 10 years behind the power curve. I we'll see. I'm just not going to go see it right away. I'm not going to waste my time on something until I start, like Deadpool. I didn't, until people that I knew thought the same as I did said, go see the movie. I didn't go see it. I took half the day off yesterday. I went to go see it, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, it's entertaining. This still is not something that I would have seen had I not heard.
The word of mouth has been great on that, which I love. But do you think Deadpool now will kind of tell filmmakers that maybe you don't need a huge budget, and maybe we can move away from all this dark, gritty shit all the time? Because look what they did.
Well, Deadpool's still dark. I mean,
it's still a dark comedy. Yeah, it's a black comedy. It's a black R-rated, like The Hangover. It just happens to be about superheroes. That's all. That's all they did.
You don't need that. What makes most of these Marvel movies have a big budget? It's paying $50 million to Robert Downey Jr. every time.
Even though he just shows up and films the helmet scene and doesn't do anything.
That's a fourth of the movie budget right there.
The only time you can handle a superhero in a light manner, and this is just my opinion here, is that when you have somebody like Superman who can't really be hurt. He's not human. You don't think of him like a human being. So there's the idea of that somebody's risking their life and all that stuff, that he's in peril, and you could just look at him as a savior. You could put him in a nice light. But if you actually think about a person going to stop something bad from happening and him possibly dying, you can't help but put it putting it in a realistic spin that it is going to be dark in some way, because bad things happen in reality.
There's actual stakes involved.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't think it's a problem with the darkness of stuff and the grittiness of stuff. It's just that you want to have some kind of basis of reality when you're watching something. Like, you're not going to, have Adam West Batman. That just doesn't make sense in any reality. There's a guy running around in bright blue tights. Like, it just doesn't work if you're trying to stick to any kind of reality, suspension of disbelief. Like, if you're like a little kid,
too, man.
if you're like a little kid, you'll believe anything. All right. You're talking about, if you're a little child, you'll believe anything. But if you're, it's hard for me at my age, being over 30, to suspend disbelief and go on a ride with something, unless it's a comedy or something, unless it's like meant to be something I can't completely believe.
Right. So that's a good point. Again, I'll go back to the fact that I'm a sci-fi guy. The Martian and The Expanse, two incredibly good movies and shows or whatever. Sci-fi with dark matters, it's the best that they put on in a long time, but it's still not realistic. Expanse totally outdoes it in every way, shape, manner, or form. I had my doubt. I had serious doubts about The Expanse. I didn't even want to watch it. I didn't watch it for 6 weeks after it first came out, and then I was completely hooked between that.
Tom Jane is amazing in it, and it has kind of like a Battlestar Galactica-y kind of feel.
It does, but it's in a realistic fashion. I mean, you have
so realistic,
You have realistically orbital transfers. You have weightlessness. You have machines as they would have evolved over the course of 100 years, and a civilization as it would have evolved over the course of 100 years. The Martian, very accurate to what NASA actually will do 10 years from now, hopefully.
Wow.
And
I love how they talk about like the belters and the low gravity people, like it's detrimental to their health, and they actually get to a planet, like it hurts them. I was like, wow, that's really well thought out.
Yeah, it is. So the realism in this stuff is important to me at this point in time as well. That's what I was trying to point out. And when you take a look at this superhero stuff, you definitely have to suspend belief, because it doesn't make any sense in any reality, right? And even Deadpool, he's not really I guess he's a little bit mutated, but really how the origin story went in the movie, it was more like, well, we've just made you stronger and better based on what you actually were to begin with, right?
Yeah, your latent mutant gene or whatever.
Right. Well, I mean, they tried to play that a little bit, but they never really, with Deadpool himself, they never really said, okay, this, all of a sudden he knows how to, leap from a 4 freaking story tall bridge and stuff. That's an ability right there. That's his training as special forces or whatever. But so you have to suspend belief in absolutely everything. Even Jessica Jones, the Netflix stuff, the closest you get is Daredevil, but the dude can see. Yeah, and he's blind.
Yeah, that's not. I thought Jessica Jones was. Well, I thought Jessica was a little more realistic, but it's not because she's fucking lifting cars and jumping up.
Well, when a dude takes a freaking saw.
No, but the whole point of realism and suspension of disbelief is that you have to swallow one big thing that's impossible, but everything else has to be grounded in reality.
Yeah, magical realism.
Yeah, you need one. You can't have everything just be whatever you want, because then there's no rules and your brain can't make sense out of it, and you're like, what the fuck am I watching? But if you have one major thing, let's say people mutate and they have powers, all right, and some people there still has to be other rules. You know what I mean? Like vampires or whatever. There's always rules to bring everything back down to reality. So if there has to have that balance. Without that balance, then you got nonsense like Harry Potter and shit, like where anything goes. There's no rules. It's like whatever you can think of happened.
Hermione got hot.
Yeah, that's the rule. That was the only rule that I was waiting for. Listen, I liked Harry Potter the first time when it was called the X-Men. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah,
because that's what it is. It's like Peter Pan. It's like, all right, I mean, everybody loves Peter Pan, but I liked it when I was 5.
I'm kidding, Jordan.
I don't like it when I'm 35.
Looky, who's got hooky? R.I.P. Robin Williams.
Aw. But this is why I'm not. I love sci-fi, but I was never able to get into Lord of the Rings because I don't care about orcs and elves.
But you have something against walking?
Yeah, no, I know.
You are prejudiced against short people, aren't you?
I'm a walkist. Look, the battle scenes are great, but just cut out all the walking and just give me a thing with all the battle scenes. But I just can't relate to these people because they're just completely, wacky from another place. I like the magical realism. I like it when it's rooted in a little bit of reality, and then things get weird. Things get wacky.
They're great December movies, especially in the extended editions. When you come home from work, you grab some grub or whatever, you get on the couch and you sleep for like what's 4 or 6 hours or whatever.
Sleep, do they?
Well, there's moments of greatness in all the Lord of the Rings movies, but I mean, you got to sit through 2 hours of bullshit to get to it.
And I don't hate short people, Jordan. I got Rugboy on the show. He's the shortest there is.
I do like the Lord of the Rings movies. I will never watch the Hobbit series again, but Lord of the Rings I'll probably rewatch. It's just epic in proportion.
It's epic. And the battle scenes were very impressive. Like what he did technically to pull that together is unbelievable. But why did The Hobbit have to be 3 movies? Really? 3 movies?
Yeah, it should have been one big movie.
Why are you dragging this out? There's more walking?
Yeah.
I didn't even see
Hey, listen, boys. I've got to punch out.
All right, we're going to wrap this up. Yeah. Hey, let me, I'm going to stop the recording. I want to say thank you for watching the Jock and Nerd Podcast. Thanks to Jesse and Stargate Pioneer and Jordan and Rugboy. Everybody wave bye-bye.
Good night.